We're finally live, so hello and welcome to this live stream from Undoomed. It's the first in what I hope will be a series of interesting conversation. Tonight we have a very special guest, the one and only Sargon of Akkad. So how are you doing, Sargon?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We had some technical difficulties here, and I had to switch computers, and okay, it's a learning experience.
It's all right. Happens to the best of us.
Yeah. Okay, so that's over and done with now. So, would you like to explain to the one YouTuber out there who hasn't heard of you what you do?
Oh, I generally waste people's time on the internet, I think. the best way of putting it. What do you do? And I'll copy your explanation.
What I do? I pretty much just look up stupid shit and try to have some fun with it, basically. That's what I would describe myself as, I guess.
I think I try to debunk idiocy wherever I find it. I particularly liked one of your recent ones, actually, with the Christian chap who was trying to argue the case for women not being allowed to participate in politics.
Yeah, that guy was retarded.
What a fucking idiot. I mean...
Jesus Christ.
The thing is, you hear feminists all the time going on about, like, what I thought was the straw man of some guy trying to get women back in the kitchen, literally, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, I live in the UK and we just don't have those sort of people here.
Right.
I've never even heard of anyone who wanted this sort of thing. And so this was the first genuine example of it I'd ever seen. And, I mean, I can't imagine that's a popular position in the United States, is it?
No, obviously not. But like you said, I could not believe that was a real person going out onto the internet saying the actual straw man arguments as, unironically.
No, absolutely. It's, unironically, fulfilling the straw man. It's just like, okay, that's...
Yeah, you're just giving the feminists more fuel now, dude.
This is honestly my problem with people sending Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn, just any kind of messages. Not death threats, but obviously death threats, but like, people going, you're a cunt, or, fuck off, or something like that. It's like, that just gives her money. You may as well just hand her $1.
Exactly.
You may as well just give her a few fucking quid out of your own pocket, because that's all you're doing. You're keeping her employed.
Exactly. And you've seen the way she did with her pages, that only the pages that you can say stuff on, that's where you can actually hit the contribute button for her campaigns or whatever.
Yeah.
So she's actually funneling all the hatred into one specific video.
Oh, yeah. And notice how you don't know how much money she's making from the donations. Just at the end of it, you just get she has to do her annual report, and then you find out that it's, because, I mean, with Zoe Quinn and that, it's not so much of a shock because you can see the Patreon. But with these using this, she comes out and goes, yeah, I made almost $500,000 last year because of the university threat. And you're thinking, fucking hell, I'm in the wrong game. I should have been a professional feminist.
Yep, that would have been more lucrative. Jesus. All right. So let me ask you just some silly questions first that I personally would like to know. That is, first of all, is it Sargon of Akkad or Sargon of Akkad? I've heard both of them so many times. I'm confused.
Honestly, I don't think it really matters. I mean, the original pronunciation was probably originally written down in Sumerian, whereas Akkad or Agade or something like that. Akkad is the Akkadian version, but this has all been transliterated through various languages into English, and so the name Sargon, it originally is pronounced something like Sharu Kinyu or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And it means the legitimate king. Right. So yeah, it's a throne name the guy took.
So you don't have any specific way you want to pronounce it, or?
No, I don't mind.
All right. So how come you chose that name?
He's just one of my favorite historical figures, and I thought it was a nice sounding name.
All right. Fair enough. And when you got started, Did you believe people would find you entertaining? Have you had people tell you all your life, like, yeah, you have a really pleasant voice, you should really go on the internet?
No, people did not say that to me.
Because I was really surprised because I had no idea that people would like my voice. It was like, wow, people have been saying, oh, you have the greatest voice ever. And I was like, wow, I lived all my life and I had no idea.
Yeah, I guess I've heard a lot of people who are not content creators but follow a lot of YouTube personalities say things like voice is about 50% of it. If you sound good to listen to, then whatever you're saying is going to be heard by more people regardless. So
yeah, I guess you probably want to hear. Well, you want someone who's engaged at least. That's kind of my basic criteria. Like, don't sound like you're bored yourself, because why would I care then?
Oh yeah, that's a given, isn't it? But I mean, I feel sorry for I don't know, people who don't really have very good diction, or just a very just not very good at pronouncing the words, because there are a bunch of like conspiracy channels that I like. So I love conspiracy channels. I think they're brilliant.
Yeah, I love those alien shows on TV. Those are great comedy.
Aren't they the best? It's
yeah.
It's the most creative science fiction you've ever heard in your life. You know?
Oh yeah.
Apparently, I mean, Obama's been off world. He's been to Mars with aliens. If you listen to any of these people, and I'm not kidding. They genuinely say this. And there's like the highest classification is cosmic classification, cosmic top secret or something, and that's for people who go off in space and say, oh really, that's fascinating. Tell me more. But so some of these ones, there's this one called Secure Team, and the kid who runs it he's quite good. He's not like he's not too fanciful. I mean, he's a conspiracy nut, so
right.
But he's not crazy, and if something turns out to be mundane, then he says no, okay, this was a mundane thing. So I actually really like the way he does it. But his voice he sounds like he has a massive brace, and he sounds like he's about 12. And so it's just like, oh man. But the thing is, he's still quite a few subscribers, so I suppose that's not really holding him back. But
no.
Yeah, it's just if you don't have a good voice, then a lot of the time it's probably going to be one of those things where not everyone is equal. So basically
you were pretty surprised at the way you just exploded over the internet.
Yeah, I didn't really. I don't know where all my subscribers have come from, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
and one thing that amused me, I see you've gone almost 22,000 now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, man, I remember when I hit 20,000, I was just like, holy shit.
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah, man, isn't it amazing? But the thing is, one thing that really pisses me off is when people like Sargon subscribers, as if that is a homogenous group that people can actually talk about.
Right.
These people, and they're like, your subscribers. I'm like, look, right, they're not something I control. They're people who listen to or watch my channel. They're not people I'm in control of or anything. It's not like I don't know who they are necessarily, and I don't know why they follow me. You'd have to ask each individual one to find out.
Yeah, and a good portion of them are probably following you to keep up with the opposing argument. They probably don't agree. And,
no, I know a lot of people do that. There's this one chap. Literally every video I make, he just makes a 3-minute video of him yelling at a picture of me on his screen. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I kind of hate watching them just because it's the funniest thing in the world. I can't remember the guy's name now. Something Boobs or something. John Boobs or something. I don't remember his name, but they're the best videos in the world.
Well, I gotta check that out. Give him a few views. So, what inspired you to start your channel? Was it an event or a person?
It wasn't any one thing.
Did you have any heroes? Because as everyone knows, you're kind of my hero here on YouTube. So you are the one that inspired me to start the channel. So.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad you're doing so well with such a poor role model.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it kind of, I don't know. I guess I've always been like, a proper liberal, and in the past 5 years or so, it came to about midway through 2012, and I was just repeatedly seeing these ridiculous things coming up in the news. I mean, one of the things I couldn't stand was the NSA,
Right.
the mass surveillance, and now I look back on it, I think, well, wasn't I naive to think that there was an alternative way? There's no alternative. I think at this point we're just going to have to come to terms with the fact that everyone's data is always going to be captured.
Hmm.
I don't think there's any going back from that. I hate it more than anything.
Yeah, me too.
But
I agree. I don't see any way out because obviously we need some form of security, but yeah, it needs to be highly regulated.
well, it's one of those things that the genie's out of the bottle now. They can do it, and so they will do it. They're not gonna
Yeah,
stop doing it. So.
because they saw that people didn't care.
Yeah,
Basically.
they didn't march in the streets or anything. So it's a genie that's out of the bottle, and it's never going back in. So
Yeah.
come to terms with it. And the TPP as well. I'm about, I don't know, how far through am I? Jeez, I'm about, I don't know, a third of the way through. Doing a voice recording of the TPP. I'm not reading it out. I'm putting it through an automatic voice recorder. But the automatic voice recording has a British accent, so But the thing is, it's taken days so far because it's huge, absolutely huge.
How many pages? How many
8,000, something like that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's fucking enormous. And
They're
I'm
trying
not.
to bury everything.
Well, that's kind of how I felt about it. And a bunch of people want to analyze it, but I don't know, they're at work or something, and they can't just sit there reading it. But if they had headphones, they could listen.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of people, this would be really helpful. And I thought, great, okay. And so I'm currently doing that, and it'll be up in the next few days. And it will probably be about 20 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll put annotations so you can skip to chapters and whatnot.
Can you even upload that long videos?
I'll break it up into sections if I can't. I honestly don't know what the limit is. I think it's probably 10 hours or something. So I'll have to break it into 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting though. 20 hours.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I've been thinking about it, and I guess part of me is just, I mean, I really think that they want some kind of global structure, like some codified global structure. And I don't want to say government because that puts images in people's minds of democracies, of
right,
parliaments and senates. That's not what they want. What they want is a business structure. It really doesn't matter to your average mega corporation what government does what in what country, because the countries are effectively provinces of this sort of global corporate structure.
Right.
And so I think this is what the TPP and the TPIP are about. They're about codifying the corporate rights and the sort of just the way the world is going to work from here on out.
So have you gotten any feel for if there are any good or bad parts, or is it all bad, all good?
No, there are definitely good parts. This is the thing. I'm not as angry about it as I thought I would be. I thought it was going to be really bad, but there are good parts to it. And I'm going to do a video about this in a few weeks' time when I've basically had enough time to find out exactly what I fucking think about it.
Yeah.
But there are definitely good parts. Hang on, let me just pull up an example.
Okay.
Because yeah. Okay, where the hell's it gone?
Take your time.
I've got a subreddit and like loads of people use it now. Okay, so yeah, so there are positive things like for example, like Article 19.6, forced or compulsory labour. Each party recognises the goal of eliminating all forms of forced and compulsory labour, including child labour, obviously. So, I mean, this is a good thing because there are countries that still have forced or compulsory labour.
Right.
So, eliminating that is a good thing. And there are Article 16.6, consumer protection. Parties recognize the importance of consumer protection policy and enforcement to creating efficient and competitive markets and enhancing consumer welfare in the free trade area. Okay, that's great. I agree with that. But then you come to like the data protection bit, and for people like you and me who are transformative media makers, we're going to be the ones teaming up with Johnny McIntosh to protest for our rights for fair use. I haven't read into that in detail yet, but that's what the information people are giving me, so I might be wrong.
Well, it's probably fair to say that it won't be good for anyone who wants free information.
Yeah, that's basically it. But it's not as bad as it sounds, but it's not going to be. I think it's inevitable. This is the thing. I think that all of this stuff is inevitable in some way. I mean, in 1916, there was a book written called The Last and First Men by Olaf Stapleton. And it was a fantasy book, a fiction, about the fictional future history of the human race. So what would happen from 1916 onwards. And he predicts the Great War, and he predicts that eventually, after all this fighting, he doesn't get the antagonists and protagonists right, but he predicts that there's going to be a Great War, which there is, and he predicts that after the fighting, everyone's fucked, and they are. And essentially, two businessmen, one Chinese and one American, meet in some Indonesian island somewhere, and they effectively sign away national sovereignty to mega corporations. And
well, that's
pressing. 100 years later, we're literally in that boat.
Quite prophetic.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I guess that to people who are paying attention from the start, it must have. I mean, he probably knew the history of the East India Company very well, and he was probably looking at it thinking, God, this is a corporation that, spans all across the globe. So what's going to prevent this in future? In fact, it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and more examples must have come along, and, it must have just been sort of, something on the horizon that he could see coming.
And it was pretty impressive to get the Chinese in there as well.
It's a really interesting book. I mean, after the first 100 years of it are really detailed, because he obviously knew the current politics and understood, was able to make quite savvy predictions. After a few hundred years, he's just shooting in the wind with what might be amusing to read, and it is entertaining to read. But obviously, there's very little value beyond that. But I just found that really interesting.
Because they are the country that I don't know. They're kind of dangerous because obviously they have the biggest economy, they have the biggest production capability in the world, and they have the most people in the world, and they have right now they seem to have leadership that they don't want to go to war, but they don't have any oversight. So if their leadership should change, they could just go to war. There's nothing to stop them. They don't even have free media. The people might not even know that they were going to war.
Well, it depends who they go to war with.
Obviously they couldn't keep that a secret, but what I mean. They don't have free press, so nobody could really criticize them, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I assume we're talking about going to war with the U.S.
Probably not, but they might start invading Japan or something closer.
Well, honestly, I think that the U.S. government, whoever is in control of the military-industrial complex, the Council on Foreign Relations or someone like that, I think they're getting nervous. I think they're becoming aware that. I mean, I really think that Russia pasting ISIS all across the Middle East has really made a few people sit up and pay attention. I was listening to a Dan Carlin podcast the other day, where he pointed out that so many people are shocked by Russia waxing ISIS because everyone's forgotten that it's not just the United States that can project power. And I thought that was a really great point. Because, I mean, of course Russia can, of course China can, they just haven't. And, there's no one on the other side of should we fight ISIS? The answer is either yes or why aren't you doing it already? Right. And, that's really what I think everyone's asking the United States. Why aren't you defeating ISIS? And the argument is, well, look what the mess they've made in the Middle East already. And that's just carte blanche for the Russians. Putin's got no reason not to do this. You know,
No.
if he fails to defeat ISIS, well, you know, you gave it your shot. What else were you going to do? You didn't just stand around idly. Syria are your allies, after all. You know, you are obliged to help them out. And if he wins, then great. You know, nobody likes ISIS. Nobody's on their fucking side. So, you know, there's no downside to this. So,
No. I mean, and it would be kind of good to have someone, except for the United States, going in and doing something in that area. So I'm not really.
Well, now this is where I'm talking about. It's I think this is where the fear creeps in, because when you're a hegemonic power, watching other people increase their power is worrying, and that's what Russia is doing at the moment.
Sure. But I'm just saying maybe it's good for the region.
I think it probably would be as well. It's certainly good for the United States in one way, because it'd be nice to have everyone angry at someone else for once. You know, I mean, no, seriously, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, there are a lot of terrorist attacks. It's just you never really hear about them. And the opinion of America in the Middle East is obviously very low.
Yeah.
In many places. And understandably so, and it, you know, not pointing fingers. It's just, you know, this is what happens when you have 15 years of a war on terror. You know, you know, you piss a lot of people off.
Who was it that said that that you can't have a war on a word? Was that Carlin or something?
I think anyone with a brain. You know, you may as well have a war on banditry, a war on swearing. You know, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. You know, there's no. It's designed to perpetuate itself. I really think so. But yeah, it's good for the American people to have Russia shouldering the burden, and you know, potentially getting themselves into a quagmire. Not that they have, but the thing is, I think it's really Russia and China are allies, and so I think it's really shaken up the sort of top brass in the U.S. Foreign policy departments, because there've been a lot of maneuvers in the sort of Pacific recently, near the South China Sea.
Right.
And there was recently a missile test over California, wasn't there?
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, there was.
Yeah, this is, I think, very clearly a saber-rattling exercise, and it looks like people are getting nervous. That's, you know, I don't know any more than this, but it really looks like people are getting nervous.
Yeah.
So,
probably, but I still hope that they can just stop spending so much money on the military.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. But you're a hegemonic power. You've got 1,000 military bases around the world. They can't do that.
Yeah, it's just giving us grief. So
hey, you've inherited the white man's burden, the hatred of those you guard.
Yeah, I guess. Oh well, it's interesting times, right?
That's true. Very interesting times.
I mean, I just thought of this. It's interesting that you can actually get in contact with pretty much anyone. Like, you know, I'm talking to you, and you were my inspiration, sort of thing. And I look back, and I remember seeing that show, like The Last Ship, and then just the next day he was on your show. Alec, what is it?
Adam Baldwin, yeah.
Right, Adam Baldwin. It was like, wow, how the fuck does this happen? This is amazing compared to when you were a kid. You had no chance of ever speaking to someone you looked up to.
10 years ago I was watching Firefly. I fucking love Firefly. I loved Adam Baldwin in Firefly. Jake was one of my favorite characters, just because he was
awesome.
He's such a dick. He's such a, just such a man's man. So yeah, it was crazy to have him on, man. I wasn't really prepared for it either, to be honest.
No, but it was great.
Oh yeah, it was good.
But I think you had a good thing going there, or you still have, which is that when you invite people, you don't invite them to trash them. You're very respectful, even if it's like someone who hates you.
Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, there's one thing doing a video, because they don't have to watch the video. You know, they can just be like, they can watch it at their own leisure, and you know, they can make a video response of their own and trash me back. You know, it's fine.
Exactly.
You know, the power, once I release something, the power is out of my hands. You know, it's I'm not in control of what's going on with it. But you know, I mean, maybe I'm just too British or something, but if someone is going to come and talk to you, then I do feel like I have an obligation to at least be respectful of the fact that they've decided to come and talk to me. And I get this all the time. Like, you're so soft on them. You know, why aren't you going hard at them? It's like, because I want other people to talk to me.
Yeah, because they wouldn't show up if they knew they were just going to get yelled at or.
Exactly, and it wouldn't make me look good. It wouldn't make them look good. It would just be a really negative experience for everyone involved. And it just wouldn't do any good. Nothing good would come of it. I mean, like that conversation I had with Laughing Witch and Jenny McDermott.
Right. How did that happen?
Jenny McDermott messaged me on Twitter and said, "Do you want to come on?" I was watching the Hangout because I am subscribed to it because I like to see what sort of crazy shit. I do keep up with all the drama, even though I don't really normally comment on it.
Right.
And so yeah, I was watching this Hangout and I started shitposting with people in the chat because obviously they hate me. I'm an anti-feminist boogeyman, and they're all feminists, and so yeah, Jenny saw me and then sent me a message saying, "Do you want to come in?" It's like, "Oh, fuck it, why not?" Yeah, the thing is, I'd done my podcast with Anthony Fantano from the Needle Drop, and I'd been drinking all the way through it. So by this time, I was really drunk. I drank about half a bottle of Southern Comfort. I was hammered.
Yeah.
And I went into the conversation with her. I thought it was just going to be me and her. And then she brought in Laughing Witch and Kevin and all these. And I thought, this is brilliant. You know, this is amazing. I wanted to talk to all of these people immediately. And so I just started asking them questions. And people forget that, people are like, "Oh my God, Laughing Witch said this. Why didn't you challenge her?" It's like, because if I challenged her, I wouldn't have been able to ask her the next question, which got her to say something ridiculous. And if you look through the comments, there's people 53 minutes in, "My God, Laughing Witch has really put her foot in it." And it's like, exactly. You're not polite to people. If you don't give them room to speak, then they won't do this. Just a lot of the time, if you want to hear what the truth about these people is, the truth about social justice,
right,
you can just agree with their initial premise. They'll say women are oppressed, and you can say, "Oh yeah, that's terrible. Tell me more." You don't have to believe it, obviously, and there's nothing wrong with just indulging them for a minute. And then they will go on to say something stupid or crazy, and that's what you want them to be saying. Them saying women are oppressed, it could go either way in the minds of a neutral person. They like women. If this woman's saying they're oppressed, then maybe they are. But when you get to the point where she's bragging about how well her business is doing, and actually Thunderfoot isn't a Nazi or even a fascist, then what was your entire argument against Thunderfoot based on, Laughing Witch? It just turns out she just doesn't like him criticising Anita Sarkeesian. Well, boo fucking who? And that's the thing. If I'd stopped her at the beginning, we would not have got to the point where she had basically unraveled her entire point.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I could not believe she said that.
Exactly, and you couldn't get her to say that without indulging what she's saying. Just let her believe. I mean, I don't believe that women are oppressed, but let her believe that she's got something, and she'll carry on and build on that, and all of them will. Just if you get the opportunity to talk to them, just let them talk and let other people hear them, because that's how they're going to lose.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, seriously.
Yeah, but that's a good point, and that's I think that's what I'll try to do if I carry on with these live things. Try to be very civil and let people, give them enough rope to hang themselves.
Exactly, let them dig their own graves, And because that's the thing, you never really. I don't think. I mean, it would be nice to think that you can persuade them, but I don't think you can. I think all you can really do is persuade the people that are listening.
Yeah, and I don't have any illusions of, converting the world or anything. I would rather they have a good time, basically. I think that's a laudable goal for the way I see it.
No, I absolutely think so. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
So I don't think I'll convert people. I just want them to have a little bit of fun.
I think you probably do all right.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got over 20,000 subscribers. I've been watching your videos for a while. It seems that your followers or your subscribers like you quite a lot. I quite enjoy your videos. So
yeah, it's going good. The only thing I can't figure out is that goddamn messaging system. Am I missing something?
Oh, man, I don't even use it. If anyone sends me a message on YouTube, just don't.
No, but I mean, the entire thing with notifications or trying to find someone that you know you had a conversation in some thread somewhere, and then trying to find that thread.
Man, I tell you what, right? I can program, and the little bell icon with the sort of 99 notifications or whatever in red,
Right.
fine. You know, that's fine. Next to that should be a little message icon with the number of fucking messages you've got. Click on that and it should take you to your messages. That's what YouTube needs, but it doesn't have it, and so you never know who sent you a goddamn fucking message.
I know, and the most infuriating thing is if you turn on the it's like email notification, it will give you a reply button, and if you press that, it just takes you to your video. Yeah. And now you're like, okay, there is 1,500 comments here.
Yeah, which, I mean, honestly, it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you feel? How do you feel about becoming such a fixture in Gamergate?
I brought it upon myself, so I have no sympathy for myself. No, it's fine. It's fine. I like most people in Gamergate. You know, like it's literally like 5 people who don't like me, who I just have now an aversion to. I just don't like them because they've acted like such phenomenal twats. But it's like 5 people, so I don't really, you know, I just block them now. I just don't even pay attention. I just mock them if they ever come up. Yeah. But everyone else is fantastic, man. Everyone else is and honestly, it's been wonderful. Even with the hell of the world coming down on us, you know, like, oh, Gamergate is this, Gamergate is that, Gamergate is terrorists, Gamergate, the problem of the Canadian president or prime minister. It's just like,
oh my God, you reminded me of the Twitter trial now. Jesus Christ.
So yeah, even with that, it's great, and I'm currently escalating the situation with the BBC. I'm giving them as much. What I've done is I've recorded the part of the radio show where they talked about Gamergate. My God, it was so one-sided. It was 2 people who were very, very clearly anti-Gamergate, saying how Gamergate was a hate mob that had been co-opted or was organised by freelance misogynists, and I guess they're talking about me.
Yeah, same old bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Freelance misogynist. As if I'm available for hire. I'm not available for hire. What the fuck's she talking about? I'm an independent misogynist, I'll have you know. But anyway, and this was the case. And so there was literally nothing about ethics policies, nothing about the Society of Professional Journalists, nothing about bomb threats or threats to Gamergate people. There's nothing like that. And it was like, right, okay, this is categorically a one-sided hit piece. You know, I can prove that the BBC is regulated by something called the BBC Trust, and they're basically I think they're a separate organisation that, and their job is to deal with accusations of bias and impropriety and lack of impartiality. Right. And so I'm going through the normal complaints procedure. I've started with the lowest grunt, saying, look, this was a one-sided hit piece. You're being misinformed. You're spreading propaganda. It's not your fault. You probably don't know it. The people who you've had on have told you lies. But I would like to come on your program because, frankly, I am an expert in Gamergate. You know, I've been there the whole time. I've been very involved with it. I don't think there's anything about it that I don't at least have a passing knowledge of. Right. And I can come on, you know, and it's not to promote myself. So I don't need that. I've got almost 200,000 fucking subscribers. I don't feel a need for any promotion. Right. But I hate the BBC. I fucking love them. I don't hate them. This is the thing, right? I don't actually hate the BBC. I'm annoyed by the BBC. A, I pay my license fee, so they fucking owe me. But B, they have a job to be impartial. This is what the BBC Trust says. They literally have to be impartial, and they're not. And I can't fucking stand it. It drives me crazy. They're using my money to spread propaganda against me. So the fuck I am letting that lie. So basically, I've taken it to the pleb, and he was like, oh, I can't do anything, or we don't have any further plans to cover this. I'm like, yeah, you do. You just don't know it yet. I'm going to make it happen. And so he said, well, you can escalate through. So I'll escalate through there, and I've got a nice response from them. They said the next sort of escalation, they're going to investigate it and get back to me, which is great. I've obviously offered my full support if they need that, and I've sent them a link to any of the Gamergate materials that I thought were relevant. and I'm currently waiting for them, and I imagine I'll get a reply back next week, because these things normally take about a week.
Yeah,
And if that's not satisfactory, then I'm going to go to the BBC Trust. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to go to the Ombudsman. And if that doesn't work, I'm going to create a fucking change.org petition that I'm going to ask everyone who fucking listens to me to sign. And when I have like 100,000 signatures, enough to get something heard in Parliament, I'm going to apply to my local MP. And then he will have to raise it in Parliament. And then the BBC will then be discussed, and their bias against Gamergate will be discussed on my behalf in Parliament. So if you're listening, any from the BBC, just get me on your show. Just get me on BBC4, or we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I think I can get 100,000 signatures on the petition. We're going to Parliament, BBC. Deal with it. Just tell the truth.
Awesome. That's awesome.
You know?
I don't understand why they wouldn't want a free story. I mean, why not bring you on?
I don't know. I think honestly, there are a few reasons. I mean, one, they're lazy. Two, you know, for them it's just
they have to produce content. I mean, Jesus.
They do. But two, for them it's just video games. And three, they are going to be the subject of a lot of ire. There are going to be a lot of people going, "How dare you let them speak?" Because as soon as you hear anyone from Gamergate speak, you realise that everything that's been said about them is bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, it's very obvious this is just a normal person who is standing up for their rights of free expression. So. Right.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us onto this freedom of speech topic.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think is kind of an interesting phenomenon that we have right now, like with social media, Twitter or whatever. It's like freedom of speech can create its own censorship, like mob censorship, where basically people have such huge repercussions that it's almost as good as state censorship, you know? You have people losing their jobs, or, you know, absolutely going back and having to apologize through their teeth, and it's turning into a sort of mob censorship where people are afraid. You know
I mean, the question is, how is it any different state censorship? You know, I mean, the number of Jews losing their jobs when the Nazis came to power, you know, they got stripped out of universities before there was any kind of Holocaust going on. This was just, you know, general discrimination and oppression of the Jews.
Right.
You know, it's how is it any different? You know, the end result is that, you know, like say, people who disagree with the groupthink lose their jobs. People who oppose the order are being targeted. They're bullied. They're harassed. I mean, what about the cartoonist? What was it just like a fan cartoonist?
Yeah.
You know, and they bullied to commit suicide or nearly commit suicide.
And she tried, right?
Yeah, she tried. Yeah. And yeah, unbelievable. I mean, what the hell more do you need? You know, how is this not censorship? The idea that this isn't censorship and it's just you're insane. You're absolutely insane.
Because if, like in a truly oppressive society like the old Soviet Union or North Korea or something, what people are really afraid of is being accused of saying the wrong thing. And that's exactly what people are afraid of in this society. Yeah,
it's very much becoming the same way, and it very much worries me. I mean, like today, the German lady, she's 87 years old, and she's like, I don't think the Holocaust happened. And it's like, okay, well, she's entitled to her opinion. You know, I'm in no position to say either way whether it did or didn't. And there was the Auschwitz guard who came out and said we were trying to eradicate the Jews. And so, okay, well, that's good enough for me.
Right.
You know, a guard at Auschwitz surely knows what he was talking about, or the bookkeeper at Auschwitz, whatever he was.
Yeah.
He had first-hand knowledge of the subject. I'm happy to take his word for it.
Yeah.
But I don't think she should be going to prison, which she is. I mean, I know that in Germany, okay, this is a touchy subject, don't get me wrong, but still, just if she's wrong, the facts will bear that out, surely.
Yeah, and I just read that today that there's like what is it? See here, 700 cases in the UK with people being charged with something. What was it? Indecent speech.
Man, it's a fucking disgrace.
What's that about?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Every now and again, you'll see someone who has posted something on social media that someone else has taken exception to, and the government feels that they can classify this as hate speech or or something along the lines, and then someone ends up going to jail for it's never, I don't think it's ever a long period of time, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just the sound of hearing, the sentence, yeah, you're going to jail for something you said.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I really can't. And yeah, I mean, it's a shame on my country. It absolutely is. It's disgusting. But obviously, there's nothing a single individual can really do about this.
No, I just think it's interesting to reflect on it.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. I mean, after I might see how this petition goes with the BBC, because if it goes well, if it works, then I might start trying to petition the government to talk about other things. And now that I might be able to gain enough signatures to do it, I might see if I can, because I mean, it would be nice to be able to try at least to kind of push back against this authoritarian, just censorious zeitgeist that we find ourselves trapped in.
Yeah, and especially when it's coming from both directions, like both from the government. The government is actually putting people in jail for something they said in the UK, and then people are losing their jobs and having pretty much the same or even worse consequences from the hate mob that want to control what people say. Okay, hate mob is a bad word because that makes us sound like SJW.
Yeah, that's their word. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying, please do it. And I'm like, mate, I really might, because, I mean, we've got to do something. We can't let this carry on going on unchecked.
Yeah.
And we have. This is the thing. And this is why I think this is why I have such a large channel, is because people care about this issue, these issues in general. And it really is just, I mean, so many of my subscribers are just normal liberals, They're the sort of individualists who are like, well, obviously the rights of the individual are the most important thing. Obviously anyone should be able to say what they like. Obviously people should have the right of free assembly and fucking freedom to trade under their own name and all this sort of stuff. And yet this is being restricted left, right, and centre. So every day more people get exposed to either the government censoring of being authoritarian, or social justice warriors, useful fucking idiots doing it. And I mean, this thing with the universities recently has been incredible. It's
you mean that video you did the other day?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
no, there's more. There's more. I'm going to do another video tomorrow, because there is just honestly, you guys are going to love it. Honestly, it's one of those ones you're going to be biting the table with a fucking frustration. But you're going to love it, because seriously. Man, everything about this is bullshit. Like, you're not gonna believe it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to doing it, because it's a table slam, man. It's just like, this is bullshit. None of this should be happening. This is fucking ridiculous. But the thing is, these are the monsters that universities have created. They are reaping what they've sowed, and it's coming back to bite them, because the people who did it were fucking white, and now all these white guys are having to resign. Oh, what a surprise! White guys who have done nothing wrong are being forced out of their jobs because someone was racist to a black person, allegedly. Motherfucker, I can't even begin to describe where to start with how wrong that is.
Yeah, and the absolute entitlement that girl had in that video. Like, she was 4 years old. You told her you can't have a lollipop. You can't. Oh, and I really want one. It's like screaming her head off. Jesus Christ.
Stamping her foot and making a fucking scene.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It really drives me crazy. And
you should grow out of that at some point, like when you're 6.
Wow, they've been coddled their whole lives. And they're rich. I mean, she comes from a $750,000 house.
Yeah.
The kid who is starving himself, his dad is worth $20 million. And yet he claims oppression because of the colour of his skin. Fuck you! The only colour that matters is fucking green, and you know it.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly, man. It's just, it really pisses me off. It's just, I mean, but they've completely sown the seeds of this. I mean, that all of these people, none of these people are physics students. You know what I mean? They're not mechanical engineers. They're not technical people anyway. They're fucking humanities students. They're social sciences students. They are all people who have been taught how oppressed they are. They've been taught to think as a collective. Now, this is what's happening to the universities. They're consuming themselves.
Exactly, and that's, I mean, it's an old argument, but they're going to STEM. I mean, they're going to gender studies, and then they're complaining about there not being enough women in STEM. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, what? Why did you go to fucking gender studies? Come on.
I'll try and contain my fucking surprise.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking. Of course, there aren't very many fucking women in STEM if you're gonna do that.
Yeah, there's everyone's doing that. Yeah, of course. And then you want more. You want more paid jobs for that? We can't just create jobs for gender studies people.
Well, this is effectively what their entire careers are about. They're about finding something that isn't really a problem, making it a problem, and then turning up with the solution. It's amazing how they are the ones who are creating the problem and the solution, and they expect to be paid for it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a giant scam, but it's a giant scam. Seriously,
right.
It's bollocks, And at the end of the day, we live in a fucking liberal society. We live in a free society. If you don't want to act like a woman, no one can force you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to act like a man, no one can force you. You're just gonna have to get used to people being surprised about it. Why shouldn't they be surprised about it? Why should they have to accommodate you? I mean, the thing is, I'm not even adverse to someone saying, "Oh, call me a she because I'm transitioning." Well, okay, fine. I don't care enough to not call you a she, but don't fucking go around like it's your God-given motherfucking right.
No.
I'll be offended if you don't do it. Well, then be offended. I don't care about you. So I don't care whether you're offended or not.
You can be offended. Nothing happens.
Exactly. Nothing happens when you're offended. It's just you are pissed off, and you're gonna have to start learning that doesn't really affect other people.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Just learn to take some offense. I mean, jeez. I mean,
No, I agree. I agree. Well, just learn to take it. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's really weird. Oh well.
Yeah, I love that hashtag in the chat. No lives matter. Yeah, damn. Fuck them. Seriously, nobody fucking matters now. Well done. This is what you've done. Everyone's asking you to do a hey moron, fucking moron. So.
Oh, they're doing that now?
Yeah, they're asking you to do it.
Hey, moron! Fucking moron! Jesus Christ. So, speaking of morons, why do you think it is the standard response whenever you see something that is controversial? You can bet your ass people are just going to say, "Wow, that's a troll."
Fucking man, I am so sick of the word troll.
Oh, me too.
It doesn't mean anything anymore. That's someone who disagrees with me on the internet. That's what a troll is now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Trolling, man, I remember when the internet was fucking new. I was like, I don't know, 16 or something, and, it was, when I first fucking got onto the internet, I was on a dial-up modem, and, I don't know, 28.8K or something, and, man, trolling fucking meant something. Trolling was giving people enough rope to hang themselves with. It was, just laying out the line and seeing how much of it they'd fucking take. And now it's just, oh, you disagree with the internet, you sent me a nasty thing, you're a troll. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
It's not...
Trolls had some respect for themselves back then.
Yeah, trolling was an art, It was something you did that was clever, and then when someone realized they'd been got, they were like, fucking alright, fair enough. But now it's just, oh, someone was nasty to me on the internet. Oh, fuck off, I don't care. No. Whenever someone says the words on Twitter in a sentence, I just blank it. Something happened to me where on Twitter, well,
oh, fuck off.
Yeah, why do I care? That's not important. Fuck off.
Doesn't matter. It's like comments or whatever on YouTube. I mean, I get a shitload of people who tell me that I'm an asshole and I'm stupid and I should die and all that.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah, they're all my sock puppets.
Yeah. I thought so.
Seriously though, I don't know where I'd be without the people who comment on my videos, because I'd probably be talking so much more shit than I already am if it wasn't for the people who comment on my channel, man.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people who actually know more about like an individual subject than I know, and I sometimes have to cover things I'm not an expert in, and I do my best to understand them, research them.
Exactly.
But sometimes there's just information I just can't find, and people in the comments are the first to say, no, look, you're being a fucking autist. Shut up and listen to me. Blah, 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 blah. This is a correction you need to make. And, there are plenty of updates in the descriptions of my videos because I make those fucking updates, and I leave a comment on the video to say, hey, look, this is the correct information. I was wrong. Mea culpa, you know.
Right. Yeah, and that's good. And
well, it's the only way you can really do it, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to be right. You know, all the time. I make mistakes and I try to correct them.
Well, the only responsible thing to do is own the mistake and correct it, like you say.
Yeah,
you know, it's the only responsible thing.
Exactly, and so it's good to have comments. And even though there are people who tell you to die or something, I don't care. I mean, there's such a small percentage of all the people that really have something insightful, or just want to say that was good. So it doesn't really matter that that there are all these people that have what SJWs would call hateful comments, whatever.
Well, I mean, sometimes you get those, but fuck, who cares? It's a comment on your video from someone who is obviously a feminist. I went on a podcast on the Needle Drop. I literally went up today, and it's funny to see the comments on it. He has quite a progressive audience in a lot of ways. But Anthony, he's a really nice guy, and he's the sort of guy who understands the idea of freedom. He's a proper liberal. He believes in the same sort of things that I'm talking about.
Right.
And he's apparently been watching my channel for quite some time. With growing concern, and it was when I think it was Tyler the Creator was banned from entering. I think it was Great Britain. By not because he committed any crime or anything. Mm-hmm. This is another one of those illiberal progressive things where they had created a petition, got 50,000, 100,000 signatures, something like that. It had gone to the Home Office, and Theresa May, I think it was just like, I'll ban this person from coming in. It's like, why? Why? Because people don't like him. That is in no way something that you have the authority to do. I mean, she probably does have the authority, but should have the authority to do. We should not be targeting individuals. If what he is doing is wrong, then let's create a law. Then let's write a law. Let's say anyone who makes offensive rap lyrics can't come into the country. That's fair. That's just. It's stupid, but it would at least not be creating an injustice against one individual just because a group of people don't like what he does. That's
totally arbitrary.
Exactly, totally arbitrary. It's complete bullshit, and pissed me off. Sorry.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, they did the same thing in what was it, Australia or in Canada, and it's like just banning people because they don't like them. Okay, well, maybe if they don't commit any crimes, they should still be able to travel. I don't know. Yeah,
if they've not committed any crimes, if they've done nothing wrong, then a group of people not wanting them there should not be enough to stop them from being able to go there. Again, it's just completely illiberal. Freedom of assembly is, again, another fundamental right that human beings should have, and we're seeing that eroded. It's just ridiculous. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. I might go to America and they're like, well, this guy's criticised feminism. Let's get 100,000 people to get him banned from the country. It's like, why?
Right.
Just because you disagree with me criticising an ideology, fuck off.
It's really, really disturbing, because if there ever was a slippery slope, this is the one.
Yeah.
I'm not talking specifically about banning people, but this whole SJW thing with banning all sorts of things.
Just arbitrary. That's the thing. It's entirely arbitrary, and
banning speech and banning people and whatever. That's the slippery slope that we need to care about.
Yeah. It really, really is. And one thing that I think what was it? I've fucking forgotten what it was now. There's one thing that was really, really important, and I've completely let it slip my mind. And it's gone. Yeah, never mind. They'll probably come back in 5 minutes or something.
Yeah, it usually does. Okay. Anyway, so let's talk about that Cassie J thing. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Having someone actually being a little bit objective and being able to see different sides.
Well,
it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, she's not your average feminist. I suspect she's a feminist in the same way that Christina Hoff Sommers is a feminist.
Right.
She didn't. I mean, honestly, I would never have known. The thing is, she obviously doesn't hate men, And that, I know that seems like a silly distinction to have to make, but I think it's a distinction that we have to make, because so many feminists, they get trained in universities that men are an oppressive class.
Yeah.
And it is Marxist. There's no getting around it. If anyone, so when I first started looking into all this in real detail, it was so evidently Marxist, I couldn't believe it. And often they were saying we're Marxist feminists, or we study Marx in year one and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
they're not making a great secret out of it.
No, exactly. But the thing is, there are loads of people who don't think that's true. And I find that really bizarre. It's like, well, what do you not think that's true? Well, based on my own disbelief, actually. It's like, okay, well, that's not a very good argument, because I have a paper here from Yale that's called the Feminist Marxist Praxis of Family Planning. What's your answer to this? Oh, I just don't believe this exists, really. So page 1. You don't think, it's like, okay, well, you can deny this all you want, but the last bastion of Marxism is in the American university. So, it fails everywhere.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah, exactly. Can you even believe it? It sounds ridiculous, but no, that's the last place that exists. That in North Korea, seriously, it's amazing, isn't it? Like, yeah, you're fostering your enemy, but Someone
told me that when I was growing up. I would have never believed them. Like, Jesus.
Man, they've been doing it for decades, and yeah. So I mean,
still, it's just taken off, blown up.
Oh man, you should see. Just Google Marxist feminism, and see how many just brazenly communist feminists are. They love it.
I know.
Everything about feminism is Marxist. I mean, the very concepts of class war are just extracted from Marxism.
Obviously,
wholesale. Obviously.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the thing is, right? Marx wasn't wrong about everything. That's what a lot of people, and myself included, a lot of the time forget that he does have some legitimate points. It's just.
Well, he would have to have, otherwise, exactly. How do you create a huge movement without having at least some good points? Yeah,
exactly. And it's easy. Collectivism is always easy to sell. Because it's security. That's the thing. That's what people are selling with collectivism. Security.
Right.
A feeling of safeness. Join
the
communists.
One of the tribe and all that.
Exactly. Join the fascists. Join the Nazis. We're gonna, protect the nation, or we're gonna protect the proletariat. They're very safe, and so collectivism is always very easy to sell, and yeah. So Marx, he wasn't necessarily wrong about a lot of what he was saying, especially when it came to corporations. And it came to. I'm actually doing like a recitation of the Communist Manifesto at the moment, and in it he makes a lot of good points, and then he goes fucking bonkers. It's like, so effectively, if you could sum up communism in a word or in a phrase, it would be the abolition of private property. And it's like, what? That's not. That is the logical conclusion of what you've been talking about, but I don't think that's going to work.
No.
So yeah, basically he wants the state to own everything. And to be run by the collective itself, being the people's commune, being realistically whoever the dictator is, and someone with a cult of personality is going to end up being the dictator, Stalin. And then you've got purges going on left, right, and center, and so it doesn't work. It's never going to work.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Fundamentally, it takes away people's not necessarily just their individuality, but their capacity to be better than one another.
And it takes away their drive as well, obviously.
Yeah, of course. But that's less of a worry for me. It's inherently oppressive to everyone who isn't the common denominator.
Yeah.
And that's a surprisingly large number of people. Even if it's a minority, it's still a huge minority. And even if it's a minority, so fucking what? Those people don't deserve to have their rights to expression, to creation, to operate as a sovereign human being impinged by the most retarded in society. I'm sorry, and I'm a socialist, so I'm not like saying we shouldn't have like welfare for poor people or anything like that, and I don't think the rich should be taxed at like 10% or whatever Adam Baldwin was asking for. No, I'm fucking almost like Huey Long socialist, fucking full on populist. And yeah, you fucking Google Huey Long if you're wondering, right? I would actually not be against that entirely, but that doesn't mean you can't be an individualist, and it doesn't mean that you want a planned economy, and that's what these fuckers are asking for, because they're fucking stupid. And
it is pretty much that they're fucking stupid, because that has never ever worked ever.
No, it can't work. Countries are too big. They're too big. You can't get someone to plan an economy containing millions of people, because no one's that fucking good.
No.
You know, no one is that much of a prodigy. And I mean, I've been reading The Road to Serfdom, and Hayek he makes a fantastic argument against the planned economy. He's like, look, and economic systems, they can bear regulation. Absolutely, of course. I mean, it's essential they have regulation, but to plan is something completely different, because then you're taking the onus out of the hands of the individuals who are the ones who are doing all the work.
Right.
And you're literally restricting them if you haven't decided that's what they should do. Instead of trusting them to be intelligent people who can make their own decision, figure out, hey, I'm really good at one thing, maybe I should do that one thing. Just let them operate, let them build. It's not bad to build things, and if they do build something bad, that's what regulation's for. It's not. It doesn't take a fucking genius, I don't think. But yeah, these people who are like full-on communists, they don't know what they're asking for. They are all upper middle class idiots who don't know what it's like to be poor.
But that's pretty much an interesting point there, because they're all like upper class or middle class. It's like, why are you asking for this? Why is it just fucking spoiled brats from the middle class, upper middle class, whatever?
Yeah, you better fucking hope that those idiots in fucking trailers don't hear you.
Yeah.
If those idiots if the trailer trash turn off their fucking soaps and start listening to college students, there will probably be some kind of fucking Marxist revolution in the United States, and it'll be the people advocating for it from the universities who are going to lose everything.
Yeah.
They find themselves living in a trailer next to the trailer trash. Like, the people have appropriated your mansion. I'm sorry, and they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't realize that had happened to me."
Don't appropriate the culture. Appropriate the fucking trailer.
Exactly. And so it's if they knew what was, I mean, they're fucking stupid. They are so stupid. I mean, they were literally at this university. Was it Yale or Missouri? I can't remember which one it was. But the kid who's worth 20 million, his dad's worth 20 million. He's literally standing there with a group of people. One of them's holding a sign saying, "We have nothing to lose but our chains," which is the last line of the Communist Manifesto. Workers of the world, you have nothing. Works of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. It's like, really. The millionaire rich kid's son is going to tell me that he has chains to lose. You are fucking insane. This is how brainwashed these people are. They are absolutely. They have been absolutely conditioned by their progressive social studies, gender studies bullshit. They've absolutely intersectional bullshit. They've absolutely been conditioned, and they have never really experienced anything. This is why they're constantly looking for meaning. This is one of the things that with Gamergate, the SJWs who are like, no, this game's shit. Why? Because it doesn't have any meaning. It's like, what do you mean it doesn't? It's a game. I find a lot of meaning by hanging out with my friends. I always have. And, so when we play a cooperative or PvP video game or something, there's always meaning. Right. When I beat them or they beat me, or we as a team beat a huge computer force or something like that, the meaning is cooperation, teamwork, fun, camaraderie. Entertainment together, a memory we have created together.
Yeah, it has meaning in and of itself.
Exactly, it has meaning in itself. These people are so hollow. They are so empty that they can't experience that. And I think it's because they're so fucking selfish. They are so self-centered. They can't imagine watching another individual having fun and relating to them having fun. Like, you do with your buddies. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm glad my mate's having a good time. I'm glad they're doing this. And this is why I love running Dungeons and Dragons, in fact, because one of the and I am a complete fucking nerd. And I'm not ashamed of this at all. I'm actually very proud of it. And this is why I love Dungeons and Dragons, because when it's going well, it goes so well because you've got like 3 or 4 people in front of you, and they're having a great time, and you are responsible for that. The idea of then a social justice warrior coming along going, yeah, but what's the meaning here? So what do you mean? What's the meaning here? This is the meaning. But these people are hollow. They're empty. They don't have this kind of empathy for anyone else because they're so fucking selfish, because they've been mollycoddled so much. This is why they can't relate to individuals. This is why I think they have to relate to groups. They have to abstract everything they do. Let's externalize it. You're not arguing with me. You're arguing with black people. You're arguing with women. You're arguing. I'm trying to save black people. Which ones? Well, what, the millionaires? No, obviously not. I wouldn't. So point to them. Well, they're not here. Exactly. You don't know anyone you're fucking trying to defend. It's like when this thing with Thunderfoot and Laughing Witch happened, right? I was arguing with this SJW on fucking Twitter, and this is the thing with collectivism. It's fucking ridiculous. As soon as you just ask one or two questions, right? Like this guy was saying, well, Thunderfoot shouldn't have made his video showing her information because that means that her employees are in danger. It's all right. Do you care? Well, I care about the employees. Like, okay, name one. Well, I don't know any of them. Well, how the fuck can you care about them then? Yeah, you don't know any of them.
And another interesting thing was now you're actually going to sit there and defend a company. You're like Marxist, and you're going to defend a company. I was like, can we apply this to Volkswagen then? Yeah, we can't say anything bad about that because people might lose their jobs.
Man, it's exactly. I mean, where does it end? Where does it end?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Honestly, I really think that the fact that people are constantly looking for meaning really says something about them as people.
Mm-hmm.
Most normal people find meaning without looking. The meaning is in the enjoyment of others, I think.
Right.
And most of the time, you don't. There doesn't need to be a higher abstract meaning. A lot of the time, you can watch someone else learning or experiencing, and that in itself, them, experiencing something for the first time, that in itself is the beauty of the situation.
Exactly.
But these people, they don't have that kind of empathy. They can't think beyond themselves and the groups that they personally belong to.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, that must be the definition of an empty life, when you can't just take pleasure in just being an individual and meeting your friends, and you have to actually politicize everything. Everything has to be fucking politics, especially identity politics, obviously.
Yeah, obviously, identity politics is fucking. It's all they know. It's their entire method of fucking arguing.
I mean, at least if they had real politics, you could say, okay, that's kind of interesting. If they're trying to solve whatever problem with the economy or something. But this is just bullshit politics.
Yeah, exactly. None of it is like, an actual issue.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If they were arguing for issues, like when was the last time you heard of a feminist arguing for a change of law?
Well, they do that all the time.
Well, I mean, sorry, an actual change of the law is an actual fucking inequality.
Right.
Something that men have that women don't is what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. They do argue for fucking ridiculous laws constantly.
Yeah.
That was a bad way of phrasing it. But when was the last time they said, look, men can do this and women can't do this? Men can vote, men can drive, men can do whatever. I mean, okay, Saudi Arabia, that sounds like, but they can't vote there, obviously. When was the last time they actually had a genuine injustice to argue for? They don't.
No, that's what years and years ago.
Exactly. That's why they have to go to university to learn how to be oppressed.
Yeah, to learn how to be oppressed.
Seriously, it's ridiculous. If you have to have someone who teaches you how to see yourself as oppressed, then maybe the problem is with them.
Yeah, maybe you don't have such a big problem then.
Exactly. Maybe you're actually doing quite good, and maybe this person is trying to use you for their own purposes, whatever they are.
Yeah, they might be selling books, or they have their campaigns going, or whatever they're doing.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure each of these teachers has a book they've written that you need to buy for $40 if you're going to enroll in their class.
Exactly.
And that's you got to fork out a few $1,000s directly to your teachers.
Yeah.
And that's before you can pay the university fees. So, fucking gender studies is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And the thing is, social science in itself doesn't have to be a joke. It's not a bad idea to do surveys and try and get information, data on the public at large. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is confirmation bias. These people have something they're looking for, and they just go and try and find it. I mean, like, the 1 in 5 statistic.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from
The one that would put the United States below Congo or something?
Oh no, above the Congo. You would be more dangerous to women than the Congo or Rwanda.
Right.
But
Yeah.
no, yeah. Luckily, you're nowhere near that. Obviously.
Yeah. I know that.
Yeah, I know you know. I know. But the statistic 1 in 5. I can't remember which university it was now. But basically, rather than going to the government and finding what the actual statistics of rape and sexual assault were, what they did is decided to poll, I think, about 1,700 students on their campus. And it's like, so are you telling me you could have literally stood outside the social science building asking social science students, have you been sexually assaulted or raped or whatever? Right. And not only did they include anything, but they include things like, having sex while drunk. Did you feel like you regret it? It was an incredibly broad survey. And they managed to get 1 in 5, 20% of women have been sexually assaulted or raped. And it's like, fuck me.
I remember reading it, and it was the weirdest criteria for being raped. Like, it was enough that you just felt it, or that you felt that you were going to be raped. I don't remember, but they included like, what was it? Inappropriate touching as rape, or I can't remember.
Yeah, and literally everything was counted as rape, and it was ridiculous, and it has become this feminist myth that won't die, even though the actual number is 0.03 in 5. Less than 1%. It's less than 1% of women in colleges, it was 0.6% or something like that in colleges, have been raped, and it's something like 0.7% outside of colleges in the city around it who have been raped. So it's actually safer than the surrounding cities.
Yeah.
So just fucking, what can you say? It's
and then they create this enormous narrative around this, and it's just amazing how they perpetuate that lie.
Yeah,
they try to affect change and everything based on something that was completely made up.
Wow, this is the problem, because the consciences permit this, because it's better to have done something quote unquote good for social justice,
right,
than worry about being a liar. The lie isn't necessarily the big. Okay, a lie is a bad thing, but if we're going to start rating good and bad together, a lie is like a 1 or a 2. Doing something good for social justice is like an 8 or a 9. So the fact it's a lie, fuck it, you don't even have to worry about it. Okay, now you're down to 7. Brilliant. It's still a really good thing to tell this lie and push this agenda, because it happens anyway. And this is exactly what we heard in the fucking Rolling Stone case, where it was like, yeah, it's a completely made up thing. Yeah, but like Jessica Valenti's going, yeah, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen or it didn't happen. It's like, no, that's fucking exactly what it means. Yeah, but it's representative of other cases. Well, then find those cases. Don't use a made up one, you motherfucking crazies.
Yeah, that's it's unspeakable. I don't know I don't even know what to say about that. That was so stupid.
Honestly, it just, there's nothing that needs to be said. It's just the fact that the problem with the ideology that we're facing is the fact that it has so many devotees. They're not just people who think that it's a good idea. They're people who are religiously attached to it. This is why there are so many people, like, on the needle drops thing. No, it wasn't even so many. There's like 60, 70 people, something like that. 82 people on the Needle Drops podcast.
Right.
So we've downvoted the video with me in it. I mean, 82 people actually isn't very many, but they all take the time to leave a comment. And so you see 80 comments saying, oh my god. But there, almost 4,000 people have watched it and 300 people have upvoted it. So, it's not that there's, necessarily a large amount of them. It's just they make sure they're vocal and they know what they oppose.
Yeah.
And so they make themselves heard.
They're very good at that, that's for sure.
Yeah, they are. They're excellent. That's what the communications courses are for. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I guess it is, because I don't know what else you'd use it for.
That's what Anita Sarkeesian has done. She literally has got a communications degree. She doesn't have a degree in feminism.
Yeah, I know. I've seen those old.
She may actually have had one, actually. I think she may have done one later, like in her life. But initially, she did a communications degree.
Yeah, she sounds like one. I mean, you've seen those old videos where she's pushing for some sort of pyramid scheme marketing thing, right?
Yeah. Then not Bob Baggett. That was the guy before.
I don't remember the name.
Alex Mandosian.
I don't remember the name, but
Yeah, no, that's the name of the guy, and he's the guy that you can make 6 figures doing your teleseminars. Oh, she proved him.
Yeah, actually, she did. That's funny. So
I might sign up with him. So, Alex, how can I do teleseminars? I'm not joking. I wouldn't mind making 6 figures.
Who would? Who wouldn't? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's going to get a whole glut of business now, isn't he? We saw what happened with Anita Sarkeesian, but you hate her. Yeah, but look at the dough.
Yeah. Yeah, he can just go around saying, "Hey, I was right." You know?
He was right. He was absolutely 100% right.
Yeah, look at her.
Yeah.
I come take my course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about this this thing with Hollywood making a Gamergate movie?
I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna bring out the salt because it's not gonna be as what they want it. Nothing is ever as they want it.
Yeah.
And so it'll just be the Law and Order episode all over again, where it's just, oh my god, I had to see myself being victimized on a TV, just like in real life. Oh, donate to my Patreon, and it'll just be like, okay, well, you didn't enjoy it the first time. Why would you want 2 hours of it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because she's probably going to make money out of it, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's no doubt clamping at the bit, but yeah, it's going to be shit. And even if it's not shit, then we'll just be able to parody it, and it'll be wildly misinformed bullshit, and it'll be a waste of their money and time. I don't think they're going to convert anyone new, and I don't think they're going to change the mind of anyone who doesn't believe them. So
I'm quite looking forward to all those comments from feminists that the movie in itself is sexist somehow, because they're going to make it sexist.
Oh, of course.
So I don't know how it's going to be sexist, but I'm looking forward to that part.
Of course, it's problematic, but
oh yeah.
I'm really looking forward to them making words on a screen really scary, because I mean, Hollywood's really good at, like, there's a killer in the hallway, he's brandishing a knife, he's walking down the hallway, but none of that has happened to Zoe Quinn.
Yeah.
Nothing like that has happened to Anita. It's all been, oh my god, words on the screen. Oh my god, look at this email. Oh my god, quick, evacuate the building. Okay, but then what happened? The police no threat. Oh, okay. And then they'll be like, oh my god, look at this Twitter account sending me nasty words. Okay, but what?
Oh dear,
so,
oh dear.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to like the heightened music and then nothing happening. Nothing's gonna happen.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, it was a tweet, right?
Yeah, bing, whatever the fucking tweet sound is, and it's like, yeah, nothing's happened to either one of them. No physical harm, no nothing. It's just like, oh my god, and Anita Sarkeesian just ignore the comments as they come through, just like, fucking hell, what are they gonna fucking have them do, But yeah, there's no killer in the house, so.
No. I don't know who's gonna create the suspense there, but yeah.
Yeah, can she resist going back on Twitter? Dun 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 dun. 72 notifications. No. What the fuck? What is the suspense here?
2 hours of nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, whoever's making that film, my rule: if you add the words on Twitter, it doesn't matter.
What was that?
That's my rule. If you add, that's my second law.
Sargon's second law.
Yeah, if the words on Twitter occur in the sentence is disbarred from the record. It just doesn't matter. It does not fucking matter, because it's just bullshit on Twitter, and you should know better.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. It's gonna be retarded.
Stupid, yeah. It's gonna be amazing though, in its own way. I'll go to the cinema to watch it, seriously. I'll be whooping and cheering, like, yeah, who's that on the screen? That's me! A giant fucking Bane-looking motherfucker who's about to kill Zoe Quinn. That's me!
Yeah, I mean, they should have some guy play you. They should have some guy play.
They should have Jack Thompson play Anita Sarkeesian. I'm not even joking. But yeah, I would love to see who plays me. It's probably going to be a really fat neck beard. It's got to be a really fat neck beard. So
yeah.
It's got to be. I would be kind of disappointed if it wasn't.
Yeah.
Because
I don't really know how much interaction you've had with these people, but
virtually none. I mean, I have spoken to Zoe Quinn, but I was asking her questions that she didn't want to answer, and she was getting increasingly pissed off about it. And I used her real name, and she was very upset about that and blocked me. So so sorry, Zoe. But I don't think I've ever tweeted to Anita Sarkeesian, not knowingly or like deliberately, as far as I can tell.
Right.
So yeah, no, I've never done anything to them that could be even misconstrued as harassment, which is more the better. Which is why they went to the UN. They were like, there are these people making these awful videos about us, and it's just like, yeah, that's terrible. Just maybe if you weren't such an insufferable twat.
And it doesn't even have to be harassment.
No. Oh yeah, she was literally saying it's not about being illegal and legal. It's about people just calling me stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, you
Don't
said
be stupid then.
Yeah, exactly. This is the power's in your own hands, Anita. You said everything is sexist, everything is racist, and it's men who cause school shootings because they're men. And it's just like, well,
yeah, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Please, I think the chat's expecting a fucking moron from you there.
Hey, moron, fucking moron. That's a new one.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's incredible. It's like what, if I went to I am not surprised that feminists hate me. I'm not surprised, and I don't begrudge them it one fucking second. In fact, I would be shocked if it's a fucking badge of honor that they hate me. I've turned into some sort of feminist boogeyman. I mean, I'm looking at the comments on the Needle Drops podcast, and none of it is about anything that I've said. It's all about what I am, and I am a strong critic of feminism. I am good at debunking their fucking shit, and they know it. This is the thing, and so they've got this thing where it's like, right, just avoid Sargon just on the basis that he is Sargon. It's like, okay, that's fine, because most people don't feel that way. It's one or two people. Most people don't know who I am, and so they will listen to what I have to say because you are making such a big deal out of me. If you just left me alone, I probably wouldn't get too many hits.
Yeah.
I've had loads of people say to me, there's Michigan, I didn't know who you were, and then I heard feminists trashing you on like Gamergate or somewhere else, and so I came and watched your videos, and now I'm a subscriber. I was like, thanks very much, nice to hear you. Like,
Thanks,
nothing like you're nothing like they portrayed you, and it's like, I know, it's wonderful. The biggest weapon we have the biggest defense that we have against social justice is that they are pathologically incapable of accurately representing their opponents. Because
representing reality, for that matter. Well,
exactly. This is just another aspect of reality. They are incapable of fucking modeling in their own heads.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, isn't it? They've got to make their opponents as awful as possible. They have to make them as evil and melodramatically, comically evil. Yeah, exactly. Because it creates a narrative in the head, and it justifies everything they're doing. It justifies the horrible way they treat people. It justifies the bullying. It justifies the doxing. The trying to get people fired from their jobs. Everything's justified when the person you're dealing with is evil. And this is why they don't want Gamergate to have a platform. They don't want Gamergate to be heard. They don't want MRAs to be heard. They don't want anyone who opposes them, anyone who criticizes them. They don't want heard, because the second a regular person hears them, the feminists know that you're going to have them on your side and not their side, because their side is ideologically warped and crazy, and your side, anyone opposing that, instantly becomes the same one, and they know it, which is why they don't want you to be heard.
And it is kind of a religion that way, because religious people are the only ones who talk about good and evil like that, and they actually, I don't know if they actually use the term evil, but it's...
they're misogynist. That's their term for evil, isn't it?
They sort of use other words, but mean the same thing. That they use the right side of history, and we are the good guys, and those people over there, they are the bad guys. Like it's some sort of decree.
Man, it's uncanny how close to Christianity it is. I mean, like, problematic. You could replace that with the word sinful, and it would make exactly the same sense.
That's true.
Sinful. What to Christianity? Yeah, it's a problem to Christianity. It's sinful. Yeah. But it's problematic to feminism. It's problematic. It's exactly the same as the word sinful. And whenever a feminist uses it, you should just asterisk sinful underneath it. You know?
Yeah, and you should replace the patriarchy with the devil, obviously.
Yeah, of course, yeah, of course. The devil made you do it. The patriarchy made you do it. Anita, with your fucking hoopy earrings and your lipstick. Why are you wearing makeup if you believe in the patriarchy? Or are you just happy to play into the patriarchy's hands? Why are you cooperating with the patriarchy, you fucking hypocrite?
Yeah.
But and this is, I swear to God, if I ever got the opportunity to sit down to Anita Sarkeesian, look, Anita, right? When you say that there is an all-controlling patriarchy and that it enforces gender roles, and what we should do is fight the patriarchy, which you have said in almost everything you've ever done, why would you then wear makeup and eyeshadow?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, you can't possibly know that it's the patriarchy not making you do that. As far as you're aware, the patriarchy makes you do these things. So if you think to yourself, but I do this for me, I like it, how can you not think that's the patriarchy brainwashing you?
Yeah, because she has said that the more you believe it doesn't affect you, the more
you affect you.
Yeah,
exactly. So the only logical thing to do, the only rational thing, is to never wear makeup. And that's the only way you know the patriarchy isn't controlling you. The patriarchy wants you to wear makeup. You might want to wear makeup of your own choice, but how could you ever know? So you have got to make the argument you can't ever wear makeup, because otherwise you might be playing into the patriarchy's hands like a fucking rube. Which apparently Anita is happy to do, or, let's face it, she probably doesn't believe her own bullshit.
That's probably more likely.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think she's found a nice niche to make some money, and she's sticking to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, regardless, she's way too deep now. So if there was, I do think that she's a feminist. She's not a game critic. She's a feminist.
Mm-hmm.
And
obviously.
so. Yeah, I mean, she did. I did a video. Are they really con artists? And obviously, to us, they are. But to the people who support them, they're not. That's
and that's fine. If people want to give their money away, that's their money.
No, I don't want to tell anyone they shouldn't be angry at Sarkeesian. They, of course, should. She said, look, I'm a gamer. Let me come into gaming. Let me invade your space with my ideologically biased position, and then put pressure on like gamers and developers and the press to follow my fucking march. And the press, being a bunch of fucking progressives, do it. They're happy with it, thrilled about it. Good God, we can't get enough Anita Sarkeesian. She produces a video, and Polygon just do a page saying, hey, look, a new Anita Sarkeesian video. That's how she gets her fucking views. Yeah. And so, they're thrilled about doing that. She's a cultural pillar to them. She's definitely a feminist, but she's not a gamer by any stretch of the imagination. And
and we know that for a fact. So
it's literally out of the horse's mouth. So I mean, I don't know how else we could know it. How much more concretely we could know this?
No.
And like on Twitch the other day, she had some kiddie from San Francisco who just always raises things like a question, and he did this, and he was the one playing this game on Twitch while she was just sat there laughing at the chat, saying nasty things to her. It's like, she doesn't care. She's not bothered by this. She's not a gamer. She's not interested in this. And I tell you, she was swearing like a sailor, and it was quite amusing to listen to. But,
do you know if anyone has ever tried to have like a live stream with her or something at some point before? I mean, obviously that would have been way back, because now she certainly won't do it. But
I've never heard of any of it, which is a shame, because I would like to see her. She's never been outside a safe space. I've seen her in feminist debates or talking to the progressive press and all that sort of shit. But I've never seen her, just talk to someone who disagrees, or not even disagrees, just isn't anything but neutral on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever happened. If it has, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but that'd be interesting. But I don't think that'll happen, because she doesn't have to anymore.
Yeah, no, she's
insulated from that.
Yeah, absolutely insulated from it. There's no way of doing it now, which is a real pain.
Yeah, and I don't think she would see any upside to it, because the only thing that would happen is that A, she got out okay, but she wouldn't gain anything, or B, more likely, she would fuck up and be exposed and lose money.
Yeah.
So I don't think she sees any point in that.
No, I mean, I think she'll always have a place as a feminist. I think, and the thing is, I think people forget how much of a feminist and influential feminist she is. People see her in her little talk saying stuff like, "I had to learn how to be a feminist," and people take that as if she's a bad feminist. No, that's not anything against her character at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in looking at it from the world of the feminists. Everyone had to learn to be a feminist because it's not a natural way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's this sort of collectivist, everyone's oppressed by everything at all times, unless they're a white male. If they're poor as shit. It's not a natural way of thinking. Everyone has to learn that. They have to be, and what they're effectively saying is, I had to be indoctrinated. That's
the ugly truth that they leave out.
Yeah, exactly. It's I have to learn this. Well, this is crazy. Why did you learn this? She's not.
I'm not sure that they actually learn that. I think the word indoctrinated is better.
Yeah, I agree. I think indoctrinated is the correct word for what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she is an influential feminist. When you see her at the Ideas in the House one, where she is dominating the stage, and everyone's like, oh, well, she had a script. Yeah, she did have a script, but she also was sat there debating the issue with them, freeform afterwards. This is the thing, right? Don't fall into the. I'm sorry, I'm going to pour myself a drink now. I'm getting into proper fucking chatty mode.
Let's just pull out the whiskey.
Yeah. Actually, Metaxa. It's Greek brandy. It's fucking amazing.
Okay.
It's only the 5-star stuff. There's 7-star stuff that's really expensive. I went on a holiday to Athens a few years ago, and the last evening, me and the woman I was with at the time,
mm-hmm.
We had a few hundred euros left, something like that. Not very much, before we went back.
Yeah.
And so I bought a bunch of Cuban cigars, and we were drinking 7-star Metaxa on the top floor of the roof of this hotel in sort of late summer in Athens. It was amazing.
Right.
It's absolutely fucking incredible thing to do. It was wonderful.
What kind of liquor is that?
It's a brandy.
Ah, okay.
So I quite like it. But yeah, the thing with Sarkeesian is that don't do what the social justice warriors do. Don't underestimate your opponent. This is the thing. If someone's good at something, give them credit for what they're good at. And Anita Sarkeesian is a very persuasive and charismatic feminist.
Right.
Watching her on stage was incredible because you could see feminists either side of her looking at her with just Germaine Greer had shock on her face. She had never even considered this sort of collectivist idea. Germaine Greer, you could tell all of this was new. She's not a Marxist feminist. She's a liberal Western feminist. She just doesn't like men. So she's like, yeah, well, obviously I'm being oppressed by men, but then she's like, right, okay, well, I'm going to do what I want because that's empowerment. It's like, well, Anita Sarkeesian's like, yeah, but I'm a collectivist. There is no personal empowerment. There's no individual empowerment. That's a ridiculous idea.
Mm-hmm.
What you do might oppress another woman, so you have to do what all women would benefit from, even if you personally, as an individual, wouldn't benefit from that, which is the craziness of their collective. This is why collectivism is just wrong. It's just fucking injustice is built into it, But this was the shock that Germaine Greer had, and she challenged her on a few things, and then Sarkeesian just ran rings around her, because it's just a method. It's just collectivism makes so much sense as long as you don't realize it. When you don't realize that it's collectivist, and then as soon as you start thinking about it, and you think, well, actually, what does that mean? Then it doesn't make any sense. But Sarkeesian was well prepared and well informed, and the feminists on either side were taking notes and they were deferring to her. They were speaking to her with incredible respect.
This was the speech in Sydney, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, her round table thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah, and
honestly, go through it again and just go through the bit where she gives her speech and then answers questions, and just watch people's faces. Seriously, she's got a powerful form of feminism. It's very persuasive, and she is very good at persuading. But the thing is,
yeah, she must be. I mean, if she's actually saying what you're saying she's saying, people should not. You can't do something that empowers you. You have to do something that empowers someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And for them to say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that would mean that she's pretty persuasive. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she absolutely is. And she's got a good rhetoric surrounding her ideology. because they'll nobody's using the individualist argument on their side. They're just allowing her to, with her structuralist perspective on things. Systematic perspective. She literally says, I had to learn how to think in systems. It's like, okay, you have to learn how to be a collectivist. You have to learn that individuals don't matter when you think of the collective. And this is almost literally word for word what she's saying, And so she's got a very ready-made answer for anyone who says, yeah, but I don't want to do that. You're hurting other women by doing, or potentially you could hurt other women. Therefore, you have to do what every other woman wants you to do. Now that I'm saying it back to you, it's nonsense, and yet it's very, very. It's a very good argument because the feminists have been perfecting it for a very long time, and people like Germaine Greer haven't even heard it before, so they've got no response prepared for it.
So, does she want the whole world to become an ant-hive or something? I mean,
yeah. She thinks that any violence is bad, and any sexism is bad. Everything's sexist, everything's racist, and you have to point.
Obviously,
it out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
anything.
But if you're not doing stuff for your own betterment, then you're just sort of working for the state.
Well, that's the thing. They're not working for the state. They're working for the collective. But it's effectively the same. I mean, it is the same thing. It's just not the state.
Yeah.
It's just a replacement for it. Yeah.
They would want it to be the state. They would want it to have a feminist government and all that.
Oh, gotcha. In a second, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously they can't. But I mean, that's probably what they're going to try to get. Obviously, at the end. I mean, in 20 years' time, Anita Sarkeesian will be like in her 50s. She'll have a massive body of work behind her. And it'll be good feminist stuff. For a feminist, it will be nonsense, but for feminists, they'll look at it and it will be persuasive and it'll be good.
Oh dear God! Sarkeesian for president. Jesus
she won't,
Christ!
Oh well, I just said she won't. I wouldn't. I'm not going to say she won't. I don't see her doing that, but it doesn't matter even if she doesn't. She'll still be very. She's not going to crash and burn. She might do in the video game industry, but as a feminist, she's not. There's someone in the chat. I think she'll crash and burn. No, she will, like in gaming. She won't crash and burn. She'll just become less and less relevant.
Yeah.
With each passing day, which is good. That's excellent. And she may have ruined feminism in gaming for good for everyone, which is thank fucking God. But she will become a very influential feminist, especially as she gets older. And she'll have the legend. She'll have the name. Anita Sarkeesian. She's Anita Sarkeesian. She's actually come and speak. This is going to be amazing. And she's charismatic. She'll give a good speech. It'll be clever. It'll be well written by Macintosh. And, she'll make a lot of money for it. And she'll be a very, very influential feminist. This is how it's going to go. And so, you've got to remember that. I mean, I think that Anita Sarkeesian's wing of feminism is very close to sort of ideological hegemony of feminism. It's very. I mean, the only major criticism people seem to have, feminists seem to have, of Sarkeesian, is that she's a sex worker, exclusionary radical feminist, a SWERF. And for anyone who doesn't know what that basically means a feminist that's not sex positive, and that will be the thing that undoes her, I think, or at least keeps her in check. I don't think she should be undone, because I think that effectively she's like the conservative prude.
Right.
Type of.
But the other side doesn't. They don't seem to have much of a voice, though.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Who are the I mean, I suppose Lacey Green is actually Anita Sarkeesian's ideological opponent.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
The
as much as I hate it.
Well, no, I think it's incredibly funny. I'd love to see Anita Sarkeesian and Lacey Green having a debate. Can you imagine how brilliant that'd be?
That'd be brilliant. Yeah.
Hey, they're going to come out with some fucking howlers. There will be a competition for who can describe women or minorities as the most oppressed. Who can.
That would be the Oppression Olympics, all right.
Well, absolutely, it'll be amazing, and then they'll come to the issue of sex workers and porn and how much whether women can be personally, individually empowered, important, like Lacey Green clearly believes, or whether women can't possibly do that. That an individual woman's choices aren't important under feminism, which is again a literal quote or a paraphrase of a literal quote she said. So it completely at odds. There's no reconciling that, and so I would love to see them have it out. And this is again something that we should petition. We want Lacey Green and Anita Sarkeesian to have a debate. 100,000 signatures. They're not going to be able to ignore it. Wouldn't it just be the most amazing thing in the world? I think we should do it. Seriously, guys, honestly, I really think so.
I'm with you. I would pay money to see that. They should put it up on pay-per-view.
We can fucking do a charity collection on fucking crowdfunding. Someone does it, I will fucking make $50, man. I would fucking seriously, I would donate to that. I want to see the Lacey Green and Anita Sarkeesian debate because it's going to turn the public off feminism completely, and it's going to set them at odds with each other.
Right.
Got to be done.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat's like Laurie Penny versus Anita. Nah, they're on the same team. They're on the same team.
I think so. I think they're much more alike.
Yeah. They're very much on the same. They're a lot closer than her and Lacey. So, on the subject of sex, her and Anita are so far apart. Lacey and Anita would be amazing.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah, so I've run out of questions now, just so you know.
That's all right. You can just talk freely, man, if you want. I've been waffling, and I've got a drink, so fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, no, seriously, man, fuck it. It's everyone. I'm watching the chat as well as talking. And everyone seems to be having a good time, which is cool.
That's awesome. I've just I haven't been looking much at the chat. I'm pretty bad at multitasking, so I've been.
Yeah. Someone's like, I'd love to see Summers versus Sarkeesian. Nah, never gonna happen. Christine Summers is now an anti-feminist because she's not crazy. She's a very smart. I mean, she's an egalitarian feminist, really. She's like, women should be. She's a second-wave feminist, but realistically, you contend everyone is.
I love it how they actually describe Hoff Summers as an MRA. Sometimes it's like, what?
I mean, she's an egalitarian, isn't she? She's like, yeah, okay. I mean, she kind of is in a way. She says, well, male suicide rate is too high. MRA. It's like, really, are you fine with the male suicide rate? Do I have to be an MRA? Because, I mean, maybe I suppose, but it's Summers, unfortunately, has been kicked out of feminism by feminists. They're saying that Germaine Greer is currently getting herself kicked out of feminism as well. So.
Really? For what?
Oh yeah. Oh, because she's not trans inclusionary. She is a TERF, a trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Right.
And this SWERFs and TERFs, they've got a problem. The sort of core pillar of intersectional feminism doesn't agree with them. And so they've got a real battle on their hands. But the thing is, it's not something they have to necessarily come up against all the time, because there's so much that isn't feminist. The patriarchy surrounds them.
Yeah.
So they don't have to necessarily debate it out. But there is going to come a time where, I don't know, where Anita Sarkeesian runs for government or something, and the SWERF issue will have to come out. And for Germaine Greer, that's now, because she was going to speak at universities, and a bunch of feminists in Britain petitioned the universities to prevent her from speaking. Germaine Greer, 50 years of fighting the good fight for feminism, is now not feminist enough. And she should be banned from speaking at universities because of her harmful opinions. I'm not joking.
All those harmful opinions, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but Germaine Greer must be fucking like, what the shit is this? What the fuck? This is, she's been a feminist for such a long time, and now feminists are like, no, we don't want you. Get out. You said something, we disagree. Get out. It's crazy.
They just love to stab each other in the back.
Yeah, well, anyone, it's not about stabbing each other in the back. It's about anyone going against the collective. Going against the group.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think they're doing it.
They don't
just
have
to
any.
Spite them.
Yeah, if Germaine Greer was like, oh, trans people, they're great. Everyone they'd be thrilled. They'd be like, get Germaine Greer, get Germaine Greer. We really want her to talk. But she said, no, I don't think trans people are women. Trans men are women. Suddenly, no, boo, kill the witch. Burn her. So yeah, she's this is the bullshit you wanted, Germaine. Believe it or not, you just didn't know it.
Yeah, holy shit. I mean, why do they want to censor everything? I mean, why do they want people
because everything's problematic, and it's control as well. I mean, you've got you've got a real confluence of fucking factors here. You've got a bunch of people who are triggered.
Yeah.
People
Jeez,
who are.
that's another word I hate.
Oh my god, it's just a joke now, isn't it? It's just triggered. Oh. Yeah, you got a bunch of people who aren't in control of their own emotions. Then you have a bunch of, and this is like probably not that big a group, but it's a significant thing, especially in colleges where you've got a bunch of young kids who just can't control their emotions. They're fucking from posh families. They've never had any sort of hardship. They've lived in PC times their whole lives. They think it's the right thing for people to have the right to not be offended. And then you've got the sort of people who are using feminism for power and money.
Yeah.
They are using those sort of easily triggered idiots, convenient idiots to effectively make their names and build their sort of businesses on it.
I guess that's the only way you can make money if you're a gender studies major.
If you're a freelance feminist, which a lot of them are, and that's why they've called me a freelance misogynist, a freelance person who opposes feminism. And I mean, I am, but that's not like why. I mean, if feminism tomorrow turn around and say, you know what, we should actually be a movement for individual rights, for freedom of expression, and for the actual genuine sort of egalitarian equality of the sexes. People should be treated the same under law. People should have the same rights, the same potentials. And everyone should just be given no plus or minus, just everyone treated the same. I would become a feminist. Mm-hmm. There would be no reason for me to not be a feminist.
Right.
It's that feminism is so. It's not that I care about feminism itself. It's I care about the effects of feminism. I care about, and it's the same with progressivism. If they turn around and say, you know what, we're giving up the authoritarian collectivist game. We're out of that. We're going for the the libertarian individualist. I'd be like, well, I'm a progressive.
Yeah,
it's what they want that I have a problem with. It's how they're doing what they're doing is what I have a problem with, not necessarily what they're trying to do.
Obviously the definition of feminism means jack shit when you look at the actions. Is the action?
Yeah, of course.
You've got to look at that. That's and what they're doing is crazy. So that's why people don't.
Sorry, I don't want to sound too cynical, but when I say these people are making money off feminism, now that's not their primary goal. This is what I think a lot of people always forget. That people think,
No. I think you're right for that.
And I get this accusation a lot from social justice. Wow, you've got a Patreon and you do quite well off your Patreon. It's like, yeah, I do. And it's like, well, you must be doing it for the money. It's like, are you kidding me? I was doing this when I had nothing. When I had 10 subscribers, I was doing this, and I was doing it for the same fucking reason I'm doing it now. I want to have a voice, and I think I can do some good. The fact that I'm being successful at what I'm doing, you're putting the cart before the horse. It's like post hoc ergo propter hoc or something like that. Because it's happening now, you must have thought that was what I was aiming for. Whereas what I was aiming for is just trying to, organize a conversation, a dialogue, and try and maybe change some minds.
Yeah.
Over to sort of a more liberal, sort of actual liberal perspective. And that's what I've been trying to do all along. The fact that I've been successful at it is just, I like to think that it's a testament to the fact that I've been transparent with my audience. I've been honest as fuck with everyone I can think of. Like with Varolo. This is the thing about Varolo and fucking John Kelly and all that. They piss me off not because of what they're saying or anything, because what they're saying is retarded and everyone can see it. It's more the fact that even after all of the lengths I've gone to entertain them about what they're saying, okay, well, let's treat what you're saying as true and then let's discuss it.
Mm-hmm.
I must have been on half a dozen debates with these guys. Some on my own channel, some on their channels, and some on just other people's channels.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to explain to them why I'm doing what I'm doing, and still, at the end of it, they're crafting a social justice-esque narrative to try and make me some sort of terrible, evil person who's trying to scam people. It's like, look, I don't know how else to explain to you what I'm doing. I've been incredibly honest. I don't know what else to do.
Could you just summarize what that argument was about? Because I don't remember anything about that.
Well, I did a Kickstarter. I don't know, about a year before Gamergate started, something like that. And it was a success. It was successful.
Right. Okay, so it's about that, and
I'll explain. It was successful just not because of anything really we had done, because we'd gone to Kotaku, to Rock Paper Shotgun, and all this, just trying to get them to talk to us about it, and they were not interested. And this obviously was due to the fact that we were white men. You know, if we'd been making video games about lesbians being oppressed as they clean their Mexican boss's apartment, we'd have got loads of press.
Right.
But yeah, we weren't, and so we got none. And so we did this Kickstarter. Basically, we were getting our friends and family to help us. And these were, I think, literally entirely all of our Kickstarter donors, because nobody knew who we were. You know, we'd had like 9 pieces published according to Varelo, but what these were in like, you know, these were in like websites that had, you know, a few hundred hits a month. Yeah. You know, these were the people at the very bottom of the indie scene, which is where we were, trying to, you know, like people with hardly any reach, getting people with hardly any reach to talk to each other, to try and form some kind of network and start building up some influence. But yeah, the people we were all talking to were tiny people. And yeah, so in the end, you know, we were not going to get our Kickstarter, we were not going to be successful. And so my dad basically pledged, I think, $3,500. And he was like, "This is your inheritance, so don't fuck it up." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks, Dad." And so yeah, so we spent I think about a year commissioning artists and modelers and animators. Well, Russ was the animator, but you know, all these things, and buying prefab assets. But you know, what can we do? It was a tiny Kickstarter. It was only $12,000, which is, you know, that's to buy all the licenses, the models, and all this sort of, you know, just the stuff you need to make a game. And within budget as well, you know, we've got everything we need. But the thing is, and I'd practically made the entire game, and it really was working. But and I've done developer streams and videos and stuff, so people can see it. And I'm sure there's been a demo floating around as well. But the thing is, artistically, I've not been happy with it. I've really not been happy that this is like the outcome game. Now, if no one was paying attention to me, if I had no YouTube channel and it was just those tiny outlets, I would just release it. I'd just be like, fuck it. You know, it's not a big deal. No one's going to play it anyway. What I can do is move on to the next game. Now I know what I know now. So, you know, not because, you know, I mean, at the beginning of each game, if you're an indie, I guess, you learn a lot along the way. And at the end of it, I was thinking, I could have done a lot of that better, but fuck it. But now that there's so many people paying attention to me, I'm going to get fucking, you know, lambasted if my game isn't brilliant. It's kind of forced me to just like redesign the whole thing from the ground up. In a much better way. But the new version, I'm actually very confident in. I'm actually very pleased with how it's going to be. At the moment, I'm just sorting out the menus in the beginning, but that's all actually come along very nicely. And the actually making things move around and creating mechanics is actually really easy. That's actually the easiest part of the game, I find. It's the deciding what you want to do. That's the difficult bit. And actually, like, and the fineries, like doing the menus. It's a real pain, because in Unity, which is the engine I'm using, there are like solutions for this, but I can't be bothered to figure out how to use them. So I'm just doing all the menus and stuff through code, which is fine, but it just takes a lot of time because you have to like effectively sort of start by guessing. I mean, you could calculate it, but I'm an idiot and I'm lazy. So you know, I sort of start guessing where something should be, and then I have to run it. Check. No. It's like about, I don't know, a dozen pixels to the left. It needs to be, and I'll estimate. And basically, it's a slow process.
What kind of language do you use?
I'm just using JavaScript, actually.
Okay. I used to program way back.
Yeah, I used to be able to in C, like, about 15 years ago. But now I honestly can't remember shit about C, and JavaScript's a lot easier. And with the game we're making, it's not going to break the process or anything. So, you know, I don't need to worry about the fact that there is a tiny difference between C and Java's performance.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm actually really pleased with the redesign.
So you're gonna be releasing it soon, or?
Well, I think probably about 6 months. And I'm quite famous for having bad estimates. I know, but honestly, before it was more a problem of, I mean, before we were waiting for the artists, but after the artists come back, within about 9 months, I think all the art was back, all the 3D models, all the 2D art, all the GUI. It was all done by the artists, and they'd been paid, obviously. And that's the thing I'm actually really proud of. You know, okay, well, it's taken them forever, but no one's really waiting for it, and we're completely in budget. So, you know,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm actually very, very proud of that. The time is really about me not being happy with what I've produced, and then so that's fine. I'm not. I'm not bothered by that. But
what was the controversy with Verillo or what?
The controversy is that Varelo doesn't understand UK business law.
Okay.
Um,
I don't think I've heard his argument or seen his videos or whatever it is.
all right. Well, certainly one of his arguments was, well, years ago, we set up a limited liability company called Otherworld Software, and that company ended up becoming dissolved by Companies House because we had not begun trading. Right? Every company starts in a non-trading state.
Right.
You register as a non-trading company. If you don't tell them after I think a year and a half or something, the company dissolves, and nothing happens. It's just they're like, well, we're just going to put you as dissolved, and you can pay I think £150 or something to just resolve the company, to make it solvent again.
Right.
Or now that's having there are several ways of operating as a business in the UK. Running a limited liability company is one of them. The alternative is to just be a sole trader. And as a sole trader, you can be a sole trader operating on behalf of whoever you want. And normally, this operating on behalf of can't be a company unless you ask the company for permission. So obviously, being the director of Otherworld Software, a co-director of Otherworld Software, if I want to just operate as Carl Benjamin operating as Otherworld Software, that's completely legal.
Right.
It's completely fine for me to do this. And if I need permission, I'll ask myself. And this is UK business law. This is how it works. And I actually went on a 6-month course to learn about all this before I had my YouTube channel, because we were starting a business. I needed to know this.
Yeah.
And the government, I was unemployed at the time. The government actually gave that free. This is something you can go to free, and it was really good. If anyone's in Swindon listening to this, I fully recommend it. Ask for Jeff. He's a lovely guy. So basically Varelo thought there was some sort of gotcha with the fact that the company had dissolved and that we'd done a Kickstarter in the name of this company that was dissolved. And I just was like, yeah, but I'm just operating as a sole trader on behalf of my company. I can use whatever name I like.
Right.
And he was like, and then I just got the links from HMRC website to prove it, and he just dropped it immediately. But ever since then, he's just been looking for any silly thing and I don't even know what his fucking arguments are now. Just silly stuff that, oh my god, he was in a Skype call with someone else. Like, yeah. So what's your fucking point?
It sounds kind of like Laughing Witch.
They actually had, according to Laughing Witch, they spoke 3 times, talking about me.
Yeah, you being an agent of the American right wing. I never got that. Why would you be an agent of the American right wing?
I have no idea. But yeah, they talked about me, which Varelo denies intensely because, for some reason he can't be seen talking to the enemy or something. I don't know.
Right.
But the enemy of my enemy is my friend and whatnot, I suppose. But yeah, so that's basically the saga of my game, and it's currently still in production, and I'm really enthused by how it's going. Actually, really pleased with how it's going, and I can't wait to have actual gameplay to show people. It's not going to take long, but I'm doing everything properly from the start, and
So it's completely different from those videos you've shown before? Or?
The models will be the same. All of the models and stuff like that. I can't buy new models. I could, but I'm not going to.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got all the models and stuff, and the models are fine. So I'm happy to use them again. So basically, it's just gonna be a different style of game. Instead of being real time like it was, it's gonna be turn based, strategic. It's gonna be awesome.
I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm honestly, we made a prototype before we did this project. We made a prototype of a game called Drones. That was effectively like a double blind turn based system. This was before the fucking what was it? Mech Warrior one came out, and I was so pissed off that it came out, and I was like, but that's my idea, you sons of bitches. But quite similar, I suppose, to that. So we shelved it and thought, right, we'll do something else. And the turn system and the method of gameplay was something that we would just come back to play because we really enjoyed it. It's a really fun way of doing things because you've got to really plan out your turn and be really careful about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to do it. And so I thought, I was going to do it from the start, but I thought, wow, a real-time thing would be quicker, it'd be easier. And it turns out it was. It's just not as fun. So I'm reworking it to be the tactical sort of double-blind simultaneous turns as well, because it's multiplayer. So one of the great things about simultaneous turns and like planning out the turn in advance is that no one's sat around bored waiting for something to happen. It's
Right.
all the last couple of minutes at the end of your turn, but it doesn't take very long. But yeah, no, the gameplay is going to be fantastic. It's going to be basically the same gameplay we had in the other game, just a bit more advanced. It's going to be fucking brilliant.
It was. Sorry.
It's going to be brilliant if I don't say so myself.
You should say so yourself.
It's going to be fun. That's
so is it like a fantasy game or?
Yeah, it is. It's like it's actually set in modern day, where you've either got the heroes, which the heroes are all tropes.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got like the slacker, which is like the Shaun of the Dead style nerd. Then you've got like the feminazi. She looks like Big Red with a flamethrower. You got like the tinfoil hat prepper and all this. The tropes. Just and then on the other side you've got like the undead.
Right. Okay, that's funny with a Big Red with a flame.
Oh man, I was thrilled about it. I think she's a really great character. The flamethrower is excellent against hordes of zombies. but yeah, no, it's going to be good. And I'm at the point in my programming knowledge now that making the actual, making things move around the map and shoot each other, that's the easy bit.
Right.
It's the fiddly bit of making sure that it's properly connected and it's not wasting network bandwidth, or it's not fucking, the menus are easy to read and it's easy to operate. And that's the important stuff. And it's the most boring stuff as well. But I'm not starting on an ounce, on a code of gameplay until I've got the most gorgeous looking interface that I can do, and it's all working perfectly. And at the moment, all I've done is set it up so you've got a basic main menu, and you can host a game and join a game, and kick people out of your game, which is a surprisingly difficult thing to put in. You would think it would be easier than it actually is. But yeah, okay. So now anyone can rejoin, and do that ad infinitum, and everything's fine. So very, very happy with it at the moment, actually.
Great. Well, that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, I'll doubtless do a live stream with people.
Looking forward to that.
Man, I'm going to cane everyone. Saying that's not true. I suck at games that I've made. It really pisses me off.
Well, yeah. I mean, just because you're a games creator doesn't mean you're a good player, I guess.
You son of a bitch. So what do you do? Do you play any games? Do you do anything like
that? Yeah, I'm more into strategy. So yeah, Civilization and StarCraft and
Crusader Kings.
Nope. I'm somewhat restricted because I run Macs. So it's kind of stupid, but
yeah, that's a horrible curse to have on you.
It's what I have to do. It's what I have to do for work. So.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope something can be done.
Well, I mean, I suppose I could do a dual boot thing.
Yeah.
I have just never gotten around to it because it just feels like such a stupid thing to have to restart another system, and then people are going to be messaging you and blah blah blah, and all your email is on that other system, and you don't really want to take your main computer and have a dual boot.
Probably not. Probably probably something you should just get a different one if you can, I suppose.
Yeah, I should just have some sort of gaming PC or something, but don't have that at the moment, so I'm restricted to what's available on the Mac, and so that's basically those kind of games like StarCraft and Civilization and Empire and that kind of thing. So it is what it is.
No, man, I'm a big fan of strategy games myself. I would ideally be programming a grand strategy game. I just don't have the resources.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I would love to.
How much money do you think they spend on StarCraft? It's got to be astronomical.
Oh, millions probably. An absolute fortune.
Probably hundreds of millions.
Well, maybe not that much, but definitely millions. I mean, I don't know actually. I mean, you could probably check.
No, I don't know either. But I mean, they worked on it forever, and they have a huge staff. And just those expansion modules, they're like 3 years in the making or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, I mean, I would ideally be doing like a grand strategy. I've read The Prince a bunch of times, and I'm currently rereading it because I've done a few book analyses, and I quite like the idea of doing them. Not only do I learn about things I either should know or should have had I didn't know or should have better knowledge of, but some of them are really fun. I'm really looking forward to. I've just started the one about The Prince, and this is the thing. I take on way too much all at once. This is why nothing ever gets done. But I really want to do one on The Prince because it's a fascinating book, and historians. There is a wing of modern historians who believe that The Prince is satire, and I am just flabbergasted by this assertion. It's not satire. That's a ridiculous thing to say, and they say it because but he was into republics. Look, he loved republics. Like, yeah, he did, but he didn't write a book to help people make republics. He wrote a book to help despots remain despots, and that's exactly what The Prince is. It's exactly what it's for. And the thing is, back in 14th or 15th century Italy, that was important. That was actually something that mattered because there were despots all over the place. Every fucking city has its own one, and so every empire was ruled by a king, and then you had a few republics, but not many. They weren't that important, and so and the thing is, it was part of a whole genre, right? There was a genre called mirrors for princes. And Machiavelli is the most well-remembered of them. Right. There's another one called The Christian Prince or something. And the complete opposite of Machiavelli as well. Not like you should just kill people. It was you should be excessively nice to everyone. It was just the complete opposite. But the thing is, it's part of the genre. And even Frederick the Great wrote an anti-Machiavelli. He wrote a book that was edited by Voltaire against Machiavelli's arguments. And it's like, so people are like, oh, this is satire. No, it fucking wasn't.
It's an instruction manual for how to be a king.
How to be a tyrant. Yeah, exactly. It absolutely is. But it's good advice, and I've really wanted to make a video game based on that. And I tell you what, you could do it in Twine. It would be really, really good done in Twine. Because essentially everything that he says in there is a series of choices between doing one thing or another thing, or maybe a couple of others. But it's effectively making a choice between sort of a lot of pain now or a lot of pain later. And there will be times where you'll choose one or the other, obviously. But because these things might be avoided later on, but in general, he's like, no, if you have to say take over a province, find the entire ruling family and wipe them out. Just kill them. The children. We're talking murdering babies.
Right.
Because otherwise, when they grow up, they'll be a threat to your rulership. They're the legitimate family. Nothing you can do will stop them being the legitimate family. So there have to be no legitimate family members around to claim the title from you. And that's what he's advising. And so you could make an excellent game out of this, and it's about statecraft, and it could be literally made in Twine. And because Twine can handle variables and stuff, you can make quite a sophisticated Twine game. I've been looking at it, but Zoe Quinn just didn't, obviously. Twine in itself, it's not a bad platform. It's just what you're going to do with it. Oh, I want to teach me what it's like to be depressed. Oh, fucking give me a game that's going to teach me how to be a tyrant, please.
and you should do it because you're so much into history.
Yeah. Well, I think I will. It's something for the future, but it's I've had it percolating around for a while, and I'm quite enjoying the idea. So I think I will. It shouldn't be too hard.
Have you always been into history, or?
Not really. I was in my mid-20s. I discovered how interesting history was from playing Rome Total War. Actually,
right.
Yeah, no, seriously, I started playing it. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then like the Romans are cool. And then I was learning more about the Romans because like an ancient battle was just like, wow, there's so much to it. There is the modern ones, obviously, but an ancient battle, I guess, has just got more romance to it because it's not just about shooting people.
Right.
There's more to it than that. And,
well, it took a lot of planning for sure.
Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish, but yeah, there could be there's definitely a really excellent Machiavelli game that's waiting to be produced.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. Got to see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone from the chat, I guess, has got any questions or...
Yeah. Let's see what's going on there.
Sargon, how did you pull your wife? I didn't pull. She came to me.
How did you what?
How did I pull my wife?
Huh.
She came running after me. She saw how awesome I was and then decided that...
Yeah, she just saw your beard and that was it.
Actually, I think that was it. Say schedule.
What?
When will you be releasing Machiavelli mindset? Probably next week, Harmful Opinions. So, get up John Kelly and tell him that.
Holy shit.
Are we doing nano... What was that shit? Just gone.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, are we doing nano remo? I don't know what that is. The dinosaur.
Does Undoomed have a beard? Actually, right now I do. I don't always have one, but
Who can stop the time?
I'm kind of like impatient, so I have one and then I get impatient. I shave it off and then I grow it back. And let's see.
Will I join the men's rights movement? And if so, why not? You mean if not, why not? No, I don't want to be part of any kind of gendered movement. It's just, I mean, I am a human rights activist. I care about people's human rights, their rights to the freedom of expression, freedom of thought, these sort of liberal human rights that they have because of fucking liberalism. I care about these things. So,
right.
I'm not going to be a men's rights activist, but that doesn't mean that I think men's rights activists have illegitimate arguments, just like feminists in, like, the Kurdish feminists fighting ISIS, they've got legitimate fucking, grievances and legitimate reasons to need to do what they do.
But it would probably be fair to say that you're a bit of a fixture in the MRM or MRA movement.
Yeah, but that's not through any fault of my own.
Yeah.
That's just because they happen to have the same interest in defeating feminists that I do.
Right.
I think a lot of it, probably two reasons. One, because they're so easily maligned by feminists, and why wouldn't you want someone who you agree with and might like to fight them, and you'd want to support that person, Even if they weren't part of your group, you'd still be like, fuck it, they're not bigots, this is the thing. I've never met an MRA who is a nasty person,
Right.
I really haven't. I'm waiting for it, I'm waiting to meet the MRA who's just a complete cock, who's the MRA that feminists are talking about, but I've never done it. The only people I meet who are complete cocks are male feminists, or just like fucking PUAs or something. It's just like, I don't meet, even MGTOWs, man. Even the ones who I've disagreed with or don't like me or something, they're not like, they're just live and let live,
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, cool, I'm happy with that, and I wish more people were happy with that, But fucking man, it's
Yeah, well,
I'm not gonna
it's true. I mean, I haven't really seen anyone that was really obnoxious. Maybe, except for that guy who Logic did a video.
Oh, I saw it. Sandman.
Right.
I didn't realize. I mean, I've watched the odd Sandman video. I've been subscribed to him since he had about 5,000 subscribers. So I've been subscribed to him for quite a while.
Okay.
And I've watched a few. He's not bad. I never found anything in them to object to, but I never found them very exciting. And so I didn't really watch them. But he had this one where he was saying something about women controlling men with vaginal fluid or something. Yeah. And I was just like, man, this is wacky shit. What the fucking... And he took homeopathic fucking remedies for something, didn't he?
Yeah, it was
he's a
everything. I just kept expecting alien conspiracies and...
Yeah, I mean, I love a good conspiracy, but that was just like, you can't propose it as a serious fucking issue, because that's obviously nonsense. They're funny to watch, but it's not true.
They are very funny to watch. Gotta give them that.
They're brilliant. They're absolutely. This is an alien from fucking Zeta Reticuli. It has this. And this. How do you know any of this? It's brilliant. But
yeah, it kind of started with what are they called? Penn and Teller, when they did that bullshit on aliens and everything. That was so funny. After that, I was sold. That was awesome.
No, it's cool, man. Spinosaurus King has pointed out that Sandman is a collectivist. Yeah, I think he probably is. He seems to. Sandman seems to treat women as a group, like they're all the same.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen many of his videos. I just browsed.
Nah, me neither. But that's just what I've heard from him, and I don't want to necessarily malign the guy because maybe he's being taken out of context. And I literally just discovered Logic the other day through the I'm a Skeptic, so I've been enjoying his videos greatly. I really like his sort of neutral stance on things.
Right.
He's quite impartial. So I actually really like him. I was just baffled by some of the stuff that Sandman was saying, and it's not that I don't like the guy. I've got no personal beef with him or anything like that. I was just like, wow, that's wacky. I don't.
Yeah. I have no reason to say that he's a bad guy or anything. It's just I just thought, like you said, that was a wacky thing to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see.
When am I going to bomb Anita Sarkeesian? Look, right, if I tell you, then she'll get away.
Here's that thing with...
Just for any social justice warriors listening, that's something called a joke. You're going to want to Google that.
Yeah. Now here's someone who asked if I would go on drunken peasants, right? Yeah, they keep asking me that, and I'm like, I can't really just force my way in there. It's like,
well, yeah, that's something that a lot of people.
I have to be invited, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is they sent me a message after a while of people saying, and they were like, look, you're the most requested person ever. Would you come on, please? Mm. I was just like, yeah, I'll come on because I get requests constantly as well. Basically, I'll send him a message for you, man. See, John Kelly, this is open collusion, just so you know. This is cronyism, my friend. No.
Cronyism at work.
Yeah, public cronyism. But no, I'll ask them. I mean, you could just tweet them. They'd, just tweet them and fucking tag me. I'll be like, yeah, he's a cunt, fucking madman. But yeah, so more answering, less rambling. Sorry. Okay, yeah, Mads Chelgard Olsen has asked this question a couple of times. He originally asked, do you said you consider yourself a classical liberal. What's the difference between your position and Bernie Sanders? And then he said, would you mind digging into the differences between your classical liberal position and somebody like Bernie Sanders? Well, that's an interesting question for a number of reasons. Bernie Sanders is very clearly a collectivist. I think he's probably quite far left, significantly far left and quite up. I'm not actually that familiar with his policies. I've just heard like sound bites from him and been like, yeah, that sounds reasonable, nothing too stringent. I'm not sure how fucking commie he is, basically. But yeah, the thing I think is important with classical liberalism is to remember that it doesn't solve existing problems. It just prevents new problems. And so if you already have a problem, then it's probably not going to solve it. This is why, in reality, I'm really more of a social liberal, which is sort of like a more modern take on the issue. I'm fine with a welfare state. I don't think that is a planned economy. I don't think that is anti-individual. I don't think taxes are evil. There's no reason you can't have a welfare state and still advocate for individual liberty. And I'm really tired of the libertarian. Oh, taxes are theft. Oh, shut up! Come on.
Right.
Shut up. You're never going to live in a world without taxes. Just that's silly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Just come on. It's
death and taxes.
Yeah. Exactly. Honestly, I'm finding it kind of. I find it kind of childish. It's theft by state. Well, yeah, fine, it is, but it's always going to happen. Deal with it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, but it's definitely going to happen. So, we're all going to pay taxes, and I personally would prefer to see there be a safety net that isn't private. Because one of the things that people always forget is that a private safety net becomes the tool of people who want political power, especially if you are in a populist system like a democracy. We can take ancient Rome as a prime example, or ancient Athens is a prime example. You have the client-patron model, And so you have rich people giving money to poor people in order for poor people to go and cause a ruckus for rich people when the rich people need something done. And this, you would have clients who are the clients of several patrons, and they might not even know. You know, they might literally get up on one day, go to see your patron, get a little bit of money off him. He'll say at like midday, go be in the fucking square so you can cheer for something. And then he'll go to the next guy, and the next, well, yeah, but come 5 o'clock, go be in the other square so you can cheer for me. And he'll get paid by multiple. And this is the system you end up with.
Yeah.
Because you can't not have a social safety net. You know, there has to be one. Every society provides one. You know, so you can either have feel like the church, which is again a like separate institution, not controlled by the public. It's not a public interest; it's a private interest.
Right, and they will try to sell you their religion.
Religion, they'll try and pocket their power via religion. They end up being like the largest landholder in Europe all through the Middle Ages and all this sort of shit. Or you can have fucking private individuals like in ancient Rome and Athens and all these sort of Venetian republics and all this sort of stuff, where massively powerful private individuals form like a monopoly at the top of the government from themselves, you know, a few competing families. Or you can have it done by the state. So if you are a democracy, hypothetically, there is no particular bias there.
Right.
Hypothetically, I'm not saying that's necessarily true. That's as close as we're going to get, I think. I think it's the best system out of a bunch of bad systems.
Yeah, wasn't that a Winston Churchill quote?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, but I'm talking specifically about who gives welfare. Right. I think the state should give welfare, and I think we as the citizens of the country should be the ones paying into it, because one day it'll be you. You know, you don't know what's going to happen in the future. One day it'll be fucking you who becomes unemployed. So you've paid into a system that you will then benefit from. You know, it benefits you as an individual. This is the thing. Same thing with socialized healthcare. You know, I can't imagine going bankrupt because I got ill. That's a fucking horrible thing for any one person to have to go through. And if you lose your job and then you get ill, I mean, what are you going to do? What do you do in America?
Yeah, that is scary, especially the healthcare thing. If you don't have the proper insurance, obviously, and now that's all changing and everything. So I'm not really. When will Undoom release the AMA? That will probably be 2 weeks. I don't know. When
2 weeks? Jesus Christ! How many questions did you get?
No, but I mean, okay, maybe that's too much. But whenever I see that there are not any more people adding stuff, I guess. So maybe it'll be shorter, maybe be longer. But last time, after 2 weeks, I saw that okay, people are not writing anything more now. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't really care either way. I could do it tonight, but then a lot of people would feel pissed.
Maybe. Have I read any Ayn Rand? It's on the list. I haven't read any Ayn Rand. I like her quote, the smallest minority is a minority of one, or something like that. She's very. I know she's very much an individualist, and I like that. I'm reluctant to read it because I don't want to sound Randian, because it becomes a thing that the opposition pick up on. So I think I know what she was arguing for essentially, and sort of like self-sustenance. Yeah, I'm reluctant to at the moment anyway. I probably should, but I've just got too much going on at the moment anyway. I've got the Dialectic of Sex to read next after I've finished with The Road to Serfdom and The Prince, which is Shulamith Firestone, if anyone's curious. I was recommended to me by Laurie Penny when I was blowing her out on Twitter. So
that should be fun.
Yeah. So I thought, well, yeah, I'll show you, Laurie. I can get it and read it. So I got it, and I'm going to read it.
Jesus, yeah.
No, reading feminist text is excellent because.
Is it sort of like conspiracy theories? You just sit there and laugh?
Yeah. No, a lot of it is like they start with a really warped perspective on things, and then they start going, and then. You're like 5 chapters in, and like in the Bell Hooks one, you've got Bell Hooks talking about feminist theology and shit like this, and like it's just like, wow, this is incredible.
Feminist theology.
Yeah. Well, she didn't quite call it theology. What did she call it? I'm good at time.
Does she actually mean that feminism is a religion?
No, not that. kind of. It's I'll find it and I did a video review of it at some point. Just search for bell hook Sargon or something, you'll find it.
Right. But
yeah, because I went through it and it is kind of like that.
I gotta see that video because I don't think I'll have time to go through the book.
I mean, a lot of the book Feminism is for everyone. It's a lot of it's self-contradictory. Like on one fucking page, she's like, the doctors would give women all of this stuff and they give them as a birth control and women did whatever they want. And then at the bottom of the page, she's like, yeah, the patriarchy trying to control women's bodies through the medical establishment. It's just like, that doesn't make any sense. That's the same fucking page. You said that the doctors were giving them, birth control so they could do whatever they want, and the patriarchy was controlling them. It's like, this is you're mad, So it was mental.
Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Yeah, that's funny. I gotta see that.
Okay, what do you think on this one? Gender is a social construct, yes or no?
No, I just did a video on that, didn't I? Come on.
I don't think I saw it. Oh, no, was that the one to JJ Talks?
Exactly.
No, that's different. No, that was biological sex. Is biological sex?
Oh, right. I just had that.
Obviously, biological sex is not a social construct.
Exactly.
But gender is, I think.
I think it's nurture or nature. You can't really tell which part is more important. I think there are certain things, obviously, that comes from biology, and a lot of it comes from your upbringing and your socialization and all that.
I totally agree. I think the gender roles are obviously social constructs. It's things you do in society that makes the gender role. The man holds the door. The man pays for the dinner. Obviously it's a social construct.
Right.
There's no natural imperative for you to open a door for a woman.
No, there's no genetic code for that.
Exactly. But I do think they're heavily informed by biological roles.
Right.
The man being the protector and the provider. The woman being the caregiver and the receiver of this protection. And one of the things that cracks me up was like with the black girl shouting at the white master of the school at Yale, where she's like, she's so entitled to his protection.
Right.
She's demanding it. She's up in his face, screaming at him that he didn't create this protection for her because he's, a man and she's an entitled woman and she's entitled to this protection and he's a man, therefore he's responsible. And it's incredible. It's just the dynamic just playing out in front of you. It's definitely informed by biology. I mean, you never get a man yelling that master. Can you imagine one of the men or boys, males, who is standing there, going up to the guy and screaming, "You didn't protect me," or whatever she screamed? I mean, it's impossible to imagine, isn't it? It would never happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
No man would be so entitled to the protection from another man. It would never happen.
Right.
But it happens for women, so.
Yeah, I think there's definitely. It's stupid if you're gonna just ignore one part of it. If you're gonna try to figure out a problem or whatever that has to do with gender roles, and then you're just going to totally ignore the biological part of it. That's stupid.
Yeah. I definitely think they're very much informed by biology. I'm totally with Gad Saad on this. He's an evolutionary psychologist, and he's like, well, obviously. It's like, yeah, exactly, obviously. How could... I don't see the argument against it, apart from the fact that they are... I mean, they are social constructs, but they're there for a reason. This is what... This is a feminist all over. They think everyone's a blank slate, and so if there's no reason other than if it's a social construct, then because everyone is a blank slate, everyone must have been socialized entirely to want this social construct. It's like, yeah, but why would it exist in the first place? Why this? Why not something else? This is so obviously informed by biology that it's why would you even look any further than that?
Yeah.
But they think that this is all just some patriarchal conspiracy, and
then again, what isn't?
Well, yeah, that was a silly thing. When I walked straight, what isn't the patriarchal conspiracy? But yeah, they are mental, basically.
Jesus Christ. All right. Is there anything else here?
Localism versus centralism. It depends in what way. Having a localized army is shit. Having a centralized army is amazing. Having a localized economy is pretty good. Having a centralized economy is not good.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. It was a pretty general question.
Do I identify as pankin? I identify as niggerkin. I also identify as drunken.
Oh, Megan wants to stroke my beard. Okay, do it.
You should put a beard on your avatar, man.
That would be weird.
So, Demented Gamer, why do you want to come into this? Just out of interest. I'm a monarchosexual. That's true. I am.
Can
you do a video with... do a video with Darkmatter2525. He's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I remember his name. I don't remember what he did now, but I think it was good stuff, right?
I might see if I can contract him to do a social justice one for my channel or something, or your channel, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's see if he'll do it. I think he will. I'll ask him. I'll be like, man, have some money. Do my game on consoles as well as PC. I've owned a Sega Mega Drive, but that was the last console I owned. I don't know anything about them really. I'll probably not. It'll be on iPad and Android. Right?
You'll have it on iPad?
Yeah, I'll have it on there.
Cool. Oops. Let's see here.
Minister isn't necessarily religious. We have ministers over here in Parliament. Minister for Justice and all sorts of stuff. Opinion on Justin Trudeau. Well, he's got enough vaginas in his Canadian Parliament, hasn't he? So I'm sure that'll solve all their problems. There'll be a vagina count, and they'll be like, no, it's just that. And they'll be like, yeah, but what about the colours? And they'll be like, didn't even think about the colours. And some of our women don't even have penises. So,
right.
Yeah,
but that's funny. They're probably gonna start with that with color people of color now. So. Yeah,
why not? I mean, if you're gonna fucking get planning about it, then you may as well just plan everything. Just be like, just get what you want. Just cut to the fucking chase. You know what I mean? This is like the equivalent of a planned economy in government. That's what they're doing. And this is the thing. It's exactly this collectivist fucking thing. As soon as you start getting collectivist about stuff, then it necessitates planning. It completely validates the idea. The idea that fucking, yeah, we need quotas. Of course we need quotas. Some part of the group isn't represented, or
right.
it completely justifies. So okay, now we're planning this shit out. Just get to the planning. Let's stop pretending like we're enjoying a meritocracy. Let's stop pretending like that matters in any way, shape, or form. Let's just right, how many white guys, how many black guys, how many white women, how many black women, and then whatever, just go through a fucking spectrum, the swatch of them, and then just get exactly in each thing, exactly, so they can just shut up. Now that we're doing it, we're off. It doesn't matter. We're on that fucking. You're either on the railroad or you're not, and now we're on that fucking railroad. So let's fucking just go. Let's just. I'm tired of fucking hearing about. Oh well, there's not enough. No, go on. How many do you want?
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau is going
to. How are they going to, get every goddamn group in there with perfect quotas and everything? That'll be interesting.
They never will because they're fucking idiots, and it's not going to happen.
That too.
But yeah, I just want them to see. I want them to see it happening. I want there to be white women who are like, I really want to join the government. They're like, sorry, you're not black. We've only got a space for a black woman. Are you Native American? Are you queer? Are you trying to? No, I'm sorry, you can't come in. You don't have the qualifications. You weren't born right. And they'll be like, but that's an injustice. And I'll just turn to them like, exactly, that's an injustice. And you wanted this. You fucking retard.
Now you got it.
A moron. Fucking moron. That's what I'm going to fucking do to them. Seriously, it pisses me off. It's only when the individual injustice happens to them that they're going to be like, oh my god, now I understand what Sargon was saying. Because they've got no way of empathizing. And I honestly think the lack of because they're so fucking selfish, they think they're the center of the fucking world, they can't empathize with other people, and therefore they can't imagine other people having a problem that they could also have. They just think, well, I'm a woman. Women are getting a benefit out of this. Why would I have a problem? But there might be an individual woman over there going, hey, this is really trampling all over me. Anita Sarkeesian saying I'm not allowed free choice. I want to choose the opposite. And they're like, yeah, but I don't. It's like, as if that's an argument. It's like, okay, great. And then but eventually, it's not about fucking the thing. It's just where the realignment of the eye is. And suddenly the eye will be looking at them and they'll be like, yeah, but this is an injustice. Oh, I get it. And they'll be like, exactly, you fucking you fucking finally get it because you're a selfish twat. You should have listened because you're a shit.
Yeah, that's the bad part of it, is that you want that to happen, but you don't want it to happen.
Yeah,
you obviously don't want it to happen, but you kind of want it to happen just so they can, feel what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not going to listen. That's the thing. I don't think they're capable of understanding. I really don't. I mean, very few of them will be capable of actually understanding why what they're arguing for is such a goddamn bad idea.
Yeah.
But now it's starting to happen. Like Germaine Greer, suddenly you can see, she's like, why the fuck are all these feminists picketing me? This is preventing me from speaking at university. Boom! You got it, Germaine. This is exactly where we're at. This is what you wanted. This is the future you argued for. Now we're here and you are being the target of it. I was the target ages ago. I get people emailing me the details of their university saying, hey, man, could you come and petition, write a letter to my university. This is what they need. And just ask to speak at the university and try and persuade some people. And I'd love to, but I know exactly what will happen. I mean, it'll be exactly the Milo situation, but worse probably.
Right.
It'll be, the fucking, the misogynist, the freelance misogynist.
Oh yeah, they'll have petitions and fucking meetings in the.
I know what's going to happen. And I won't, they'll just say no, and so it's just okay. Well, never mind. But yeah, so now it's happening to them. I'm not. I'm like, okay, well, let's just go the whole hog. I want you to see the flaws in your system. You're not listening. I don't think you're capable of listening. It's a shit system you're proposing. So let's go and let's do it. Come on. I'm not going to be part of it, so it's not going to matter to me.
Oh my God, yeah.
I've already been discriminated against, in this, so you can't do it any worse.
Yeah. I feel really sorry for kids that are going to school.
Man, I get a lot of emails from 20-something guys who are at university going, man, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, a lot of these guys are just like normal young guys, and they're being treated like they're, second-class citizens because apparently they're first-class citizens, So it's just like, oh, man, I feel bad for you guys, and I'm glad. Literally, they're mandatory fucking rape training, anti-rape training and stuff. It's like, man, that's offensive as fuck, isn't it?
Anti-rape training, yeah, that is fucking stupid. It's like, so you are assuming that all men are rapists.
Yeah.
I mean, can you get more stupid? I mean,
well, it's just presuming everyone's guilt, It's, of course, he's a rapist. We just need to catch him.
Yeah.
And so, and as if like telling someone, you shouldn't rape someone. Well, that's preventative rape.
Yeah.
Who's persuaded?
Oh wow, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think you've prevented any rapes by doing this?
Maybe they do. I mean, they must, right? I don't know, but
I can only imagine the numbers are quite small. I mean, come on.
No. I mean, I'm not saying they prevent rape.
No.
I'm saying they probably believe that they do.
Oh, I'm sure they believe they're preventing thousands.
Yeah, I mean, they must seriously believe that. It's and that in itself is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, they really, really must believe it.
Who in the hell grows up and needs to be told that rape is wrong?
I don't know. I mean, I guess there must be some people, because there was like that. There was the one example that Cassie J brought up of the kids who filmed themselves raping an unconscious drunk girl and putting it on social media. So I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen.
Right. But
it does happen. It's the amount that it happens, though. It's the amount of people.
I don't think. I'm just saying that it wouldn't have stopped those guys if you told them.
Yeah.
Rape is wrong, and they'd be like, yeah, okay. They just don't care. They're sociopaths, right?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously,
they're not going to care.
No, This is the point. These kids probably knew that it was illegal. They probably knew that it was wrong.
Oh yeah.
They probably knew that fucking.
Of course they did.
Yeah, of course. So I don't think that. Yeah, having a consent course is going to prevent them from raping.
No.
So yeah, it's an exercise in futility. It's turning to the people who are obviously not going to commit this crime and saying, "We're going to teach you how not to commit this crime." It's like, well, why?
Yeah. It's really, really unbelievable. All right, let's see what else is here. Favorite philosopher?
Ooh, good question.
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's a favorite, but he's interesting, and that's Nietzsche.
Yeah, I read about half of Thus Spoke Zarathustra when I was in my early 20s, and it was fucking heavy going. And I got about half or a third of the way through it, something like that, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm playing some video games. But yeah, like 10 years later or whatever, I actually have ordered it off of Amazon, and I have it sat on my desk right next to me with Beyond Good and Evil, because I've never read that either, and I've planned to get through it. But Beyond Good and Evil is quite short, so I might do a quick review of that at some point.
Right.
Yeah, Thus Spoke Zarathustra was heavy going, but it was interesting though.
It was a long time ago, but I just he's not always right, but he's always interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was a cool thing.
Someone's like, pedophilia is going to be legal in 5 years. Calling it now. I think pedophilia is going to be the hill they die on.
Yeah.
I don't see the general public consenting to pedophilia. Gay marriage, sure. Polygamy, sure. That all of these things that don't really affect anyone but consenting adults, sure, they're gonna be fine with.
But they're not gonna fuck with people's children.
No. You start going after people's kids, and they're gonna get lynched.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I hope they try. I hope they try and go, no, pedophilia is fine. Go on, you go public saying that, please.
Yeah.
Please say that, please. That will literally be the hill you fucking die on. And yeah, and like Ian, as you say, what an ugly hill it'll be to die. Fine. I'm happy for keeping paedophilia illegal, and as just I mean, I can. And the thing is, I can understand if you're cursed with it. If it's literally like a curse, fine. There should be something that can be done. Maybe gated communities or something. I don't know. There should be treatment, but you should be prevented from working with kids. Whereas the Salon article, the guy was arguing that you become a teacher to help your love of kids or something. It's like, no, fuck you, no fucking way.
Yeah, fuck off.
I'm a fat fuck. I don't get a job at a donut factory. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be looking at all these donuts going, well, man, I am a fat fuck. I could just eat this. And, no, fucking, if you're a paedophile, do not get a job at a school. Just don't. End of story.
Yeah, and it should definitely be illegal.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, on the one hand, they are people, and I can empathise with the fact that they've got a shit situation, but it's never going to be normalised. The general public aren't they're far more protective of their kids than they care about the feelings or rights of a pedo.
Exactly.
They would happily have them killed and burnt. So, and
right.
I'm not fat, I'm just curvy. Well, that's true.
Wow, is that? Here's someone doing something with the LGBT, and then LOL. What the fuck? How many letters are they up to now?
I dread to think.
I mean, it was LGB and then LGBT, and now they're just they keep adding letters every goddamn year. It's a new one.
Well, there'll be some degenerate thing that they want to legalize next. Hey, necrophilia is still illegal. Who's that really hurting? The victim's family? Fuck 'em.
Yeah, because they're such a huge group in society as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're underrepresented. They're a fucking oppressed minority.
Oh, yeah.
Necrophiliacs and pedophiles are an oppressed minority. Fucking... This guy on Twitter, I sent you a message on YouTube. Well, that was a mistake. Don't send me a message on YouTube. I never check it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just write that LGBT, LOL, WGF.
There's some guy called That Cooper fellow who's just tweeted me saying, I've just purchased the domain NewYorkPrivilegeExchange.com.
Okay.
I thought I'd let you all know I'm thinking about building something fun. Well, I like the name, the New York Privilege Exchange. I'm more than happy to pay attention to where this is going.
Yeah, keep us informed.
Pedomancer, yeah, that's the next game I'm gonna do. I'll give you a social justice game. I'll get it on Kotaku. The dead can't consent, motherfucker. That's how we'll fucking get them. They'll be like, right, we've got pedos in our back pocket now. Fucking necrophilia. How's a corpse going to consent? Boom.
Yeah.
Tariq Musa, you're gutted.
Yeah.
He's the guy who, like 5 years ago now, he wrote the article, is necrophilia a moral wrong? And obviously he came to the conclusion that it's not. Because why would
For real?
Oh, yeah, I'll find it.
Jesus.
It's on the Big Think as well. Is necrophilia wrong? I'll tweet it out so people can have a nice read of it. It's the Big Think will publish anything.
Yeah, I got to see that. It's always interesting to see people argue for those kind of views. See how they make it work in their head.
Yeah, the rationalizations are, I'm sure, good. I can't remember exactly what he said now, but oh yeah, he starts off by, "We are not sacred." Well, that's your opinion, Tariq. I actually do think people should be considered in a way sacred. Certainly, some aspects of them.
Yeah.
Again, this is this kind of anti-individual.
Not in a religious way, but just in a sort of
in a moral,
humanist way, like yeah.
Yeah, in sort of morality. I have no right to do anything harmful to anyone else. Fundamentally, right. That's I've got no right to hurt them or hit them or stab them, kill them. No right to force myself on them. Anything like that. I have no right to do this because their individual rights are much more important than my right to act.
Yeah, and it always bothers me when religious people says that without religion you wouldn't have morals. It's like, what kind of person are you?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't that just the whole? Well, that makes you sound like a raging psycho.
Yeah. Would you just go out murdering and raping if you didn't have your Bible?
I don't believe in a God, and I don't murder and rape anyone. Yeah. This is a paradox. How do you explain this?
Yeah, it's a real mystery.
What's my stance on animal rights? Well, I prefer not to see animals hurt because I like animals. No, bestiality. That's a good point. Okay, now I'm pro bestiality. Yeah, I like animals. No. Yeah, obviously I'm not pro bestiality. Yeah, no, but I am an animal lover, as they would say. And okay, now I sound like I'm pro bestiality. Shit. This has become a clusterfuck. Yeah, no, I don't like people hurting animals. Not because I want to fuck them, I swear.
You're painting yourself into a corner, man.
No, seriously, I do love animals, and I can't bear to see them hurt. And it really pisses me off when people are violent to their animals beyond reason. I mean, if you've got a dog that keeps fucking eating your food out of the bin or something, okay, smack the dog on the arse or something, on the nose. Give him a tap, but because it's a fucking dog. But people beat them where they're senseless, fucking, really, really, really badly and shit. It's just like, fuck me, man. What are you doing? Why would you do this?
Yeah, and we have laws for that, animal cruelty and all that. So.
Absolutely, just what? Why would you do any of this? But oh my god, he spanks animals. Oh no, my secret's out. My cats are gonna be so relieved. Finally, someone knows. But yeah, no, I the thing is, I'm not I'm okay. Battery chickens are shit, and if I had the opportunity, I would probably outlaw them. Because it is pretty fucking inhumane.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't lose any sleep over them because I'm a selfish cunt.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine a world without a steak.
Yeah.
But,
I
that's
can't.
me.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Just pork chops for me. I fucking love pork chops.
That's good too.
Yeah. Now I'm hungry. But yeah, no, seriously, I like animals and stuff, but I'm not going to protest for them, and I can't imagine going vegetarian.
Nope, not gonna happen.
Yeah, and I realize that in like 100 years' time that'll be considered very bestial or something. But I'll deal with it. I'll just look bad, And the thing is, right, this was really amusing with this whole like iconoclasm that's going on at the moment. Is that people forget that 100 years ago, nothing that the feminists were arguing for were a thing. So the idea of people protesting it in the future was a ridiculous idea. No, what are you talking about? Like Thomas Jefferson, they've got a statue of him in a university, and they're like plastering on him sexist, racist, slaver, and all this sort of stuff on posters. And he probably wouldn't have thought of any of this. Just like, what do you mean racist? Well, of course, what do you mean sexist? What are you arguing for? Just the idea of considering these things is probably entirely alien. And so
you have to see them as a product of their time, obviously.
Well, exactly, but they're not. That's the thing. That's why they're iconoclasts. And that's the thing. 50, 100 years time, something like that. They'll be doing the same thing for 8 meats. Fucking, I don't know, smacked his child or something. This will be the new. It'll just keep going. This whole thing until fucking society collapses, I guess. Nobody's allowed to do anything.
Yeah, or we just run out of space. I mean, the population is a kind of a problem.
I'm not sure that's true.
I'm not saying I have any statistics on that, but
well, I actually looked at this a while ago, right? I mean, something like 14% or something of the Earth's livable surface is being used at the moment, or farmland or something is being used at the moment, and that's not very much. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying about pollution. I imagine pollution from industry probably is a problem. All of this sort of thing is a problem. I mean, that's what we're doing with the space. It's not the fact that we're running out of space. We have loads of fucking space. 7 billion people. Okay, it sounds like a lot, but the Earth is huge, man. It's fucking enormous. You've got countries that are mostly empty, like Russia, like the United States, where most of it is just nothing. And it's just like, it's not even farmland, it's just empty land. It's like Canada,
Sure, but
Africa, the world is huge. Very few places are so densely populated.
Sure, but there's an exponentiation. Okay, there's my tongue. Exponential growth.
There is.
And that's the scary part. And they say that will sort of trickle off, but why? Why would it?
I think the scary part is the industry. It's the problem is the consumption of modern life. And I was talking to when I was going to make this bronze sword I was making, I ended up having a conversation with a girl on the train. And I say girl, she was in her 30s, and she was like a graduate degree student or something, doing something with the government. And I started talking to her about what I do, and she's like, okay, okay, what do you do? And she's like, well, basically I do this. I'm like, that's fucking fascinating. Well, tell me about environmentalism, what you're doing. And she's like, well, basically we're fucked. Basically, there's nothing we can do now. We're at the point of no return, and it is too many people, but it's not too many people because there aren't enough resources. It's too many people because of how many resources we consume. We consume way more than we should be, obviously. And so she's like, look, in 100 years' time, it's inevitable now. We can't stop it. And so she's not having kids. She's not getting married. And she looked really harrowing, actually, now I think about it. She had this kind of deadness in her eyes. It was weird, man. And so, it was creepy. And she was someone who actually knew about this stuff. And I was just like, okay, well, that's sad. What can we do? And she's like, nothing. Okay, fucking please.
Okay, then. Let's have a big fucking party then.
Yeah, exactly. So
we're all fucked.
Yeah, she thinks that the world's fucked. I mean, I don't know, but this. Yeah, I mean, maybe she's right. Maybe she's wrong. She's probably right. She sounded like she knew she was talking about, and she studied this sort of thing, did very sort of scientific shit on this, and so yeah, okay, fine, we're fucked, but it's not necessarily about the number of people. It's more. She was saying it's about the industry. It's what we've been doing, rather than how many of us there are. Don't get me wrong. Now, they are intrinsically connected now. There's no way of undoing the industry at this point. We couldn't put a stop to it. it's too big a system. It's got too many people who would oppose it too strongly. Even though eventually it means that they're undoomed. Nobody wants to take the sort of nobody wants to take the hit in the standard of living. Why would you? What a horrible thing. But, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, I'm an optimist, so I'm hoping she's just wrong.
Obviously.
So,
yeah, I certainly hope so.
I'm not saying that any of this is right. I don't know. I'm just passing on what she told me, and she sounded informed, but I'm hoping just the scientists in general are just misinformed. I don't know.
I don't know. No. Okay, that's a depressing subject.
Yeah, well, I think humanity will be alright. I don't think a few degrees in temperature will be that much of a big deal. Obviously it will be that much of a big deal, but I don't think it's going to be the end of humanity. It'll just be a relocating of things, and there probably will be a large amount of deaths, but people will still be able to grow crops, and different crops will become more popular. Bananas will be grown in the fucking North Pole or something. You know what I mean? It'll be
right.
It'll be shit like that. But
obviously
people will survive.
Yeah, obviously the entire planet will not be covered, but it'll probably create some spectacular wars for sure.
Exactly.
People fighting for whatever's left.
Yeah, and then there might well be like mass extinction. Well, not like mass extinction, but like huge amounts of deaths in various nations from famine and from natural disasters. That's fucking horrible. But I don't think the entire human race will die.
No, I agree.
But I'm no expert on the subject, and we might be all fucked. So yeah.
Yeah, me neither. Okay. The Earth is fine, the people are fucked.
Yeah, that's basically it.
George Carlin. All right.
Yeah. Someone earlier asked, what can we do to fix academia? I don't think we can. I don't think it can be fixed.
No. This thing just has to play itself out.
Yeah, they have to collapse. That's what's got to happen. I think what will end up happening is university attendance rates will go down. It's costing more and more and more. What's the point? I think they'll split into like in the UK they used to have like the polytechnics, which were the technical skills schools, and I think that it'll end up something like that. The STEM subjects will keep booming because they will always be needed. You can't not have STEM. That's what men need to do. That's what men do generally.
Right.
But the social sciences and the rest of the institutions, I think, will cripple themselves, and they will just dwindle. I'm hoping. But this is going to take like 30, 40 years. It's going to take a long time.
I know. It might probably start in the United States because people are actually paying their own money.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how they can pay all these tuitions and stuff.
Well, Daddy's got millions of dollars.
Yeah, but that's one person. And there's a lot of people who go into debt to read this shit.
There are, but I think there are also a lot of the people who are going into debt are the people in STEM, I bet.
Hopefully,
I bet if you went through each individual one and found out the price of their tuition, the value of their parents' fucking estate, and you went through it, I bet all of the people who are going into debt are in STEM, and I bet all of the people who aren't going into debt and are being paid by Daddy are wealthy.
That'd be an interesting statistic to take part in. Wow.
I would love to see the result of that.
Yeah. Jesus. What do you think of NASA?
David Cameron.
What?
Right. I'm not saying that if you type in 10 Downing Street into a search engine, you'll be finding David Cameron's home address, but, let's face it, that is where he lives. The Prime Minister always lives in 10 Downing Street.
Right.
It's like the White House, basically.
Even I knew that. It's sort of like 221B Baker Street, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sherlock Holmes, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you think the Laws Reform Bill is more likely after delay the tax credits bill? Yeah, the Tories are pissed about that, won't they? Will I campaign for Cameron with my pig loving right? I will. I definitely support David Cameron's ability to face fuck a pig. Pig fucker lives matter.
Pig fucker lives matter. It's awesome.
They're sending sperm to Mars. What the fuck is that going to do?
Sperm to Mars.
Why would you send sperm to Mars? What, Zoe Quinn's going to Mars.
We should send Zoe Quinn to Mars.
Can you leak my nudes? Bad luck if you have them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't.
I would rather be poor and able-bodied than rich and paralyzed, thank you. My favorite YouTube channel not related to social justice BS. That's a good question, actually. I like quite a lot of channels. I like Dark Matter, particularly. I quite like Spoonie. I've been enjoying his D&D waffles. I've been quite enjoying Millennial Woes' videos recently.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know whether anyone's familiar with him, but he's like this Scottish racist.
Scottish racist?
No, yeah, I'm not even kidding. He's a Scottish guy who's racist. He's like part of the alt-right, where they're like, yeah, just black people are inferior and stuff. But the thing is, he's got this kind of way of speaking that's kind of pleasant. You know, the way he like explains himself is not. It's kind of, it's nice to listen to, even though I don't agree with what he's saying. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, it's weird, but no, he's interesting to listen to, even if I don't agree with him on everything. What else do I watch? I just watch a bunch of stuff that's around, really. What about you?
What was the question?
Favorite YouTube channels that aren't dealing with feminism or social justice.
Right. I'm trying to figure out which channel I was thinking about. It's a guy that people often mistake me for being for some reason. And what the fuck is his name? He does these nature documentaries where he just fucks everything up, and actually the facts are right, but he's really funny and just says the craziest shit. Like it's really a nature documentary.
I like Lindy Beige and Scalagrim. I think they're both very good. Very, very entertaining people to listen to. I listen to them quite a lot.
I don't know.
I like Razorfist.
I don't want to go out there and leave this window right now and leave the chat and look at everything up and stuff like that. So.
Cool Hard Logic is great as well.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
That is it's a nice channel.
I did the Hey Moron sound bit, you fool. And now I'm too done for it.
Yeah, you have to go back.
Yeah, you have to go back.
But go back an hour.
Favorite people on the right wing? That's a good question. I like Daniel Hannan. Donald Trump.
Well, he is hilarious.
He is. He's
got to give him that.
I love on Rational Wiki, I think it is. My entry on it says that I'm a Donald Trump supporter. And that's brilliant. That's the only thing on it that's actually kind of true. The rest of it's a complete fucking fabrication. But yeah, I kind of am a ironic Donald Trump supporter.
Right.
But that's the only thing.
He does take some of the boringness out of it.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the shit that comes out of that guy's mouth, it's awesome.
Yeah. Sargon, why are you a coward about God? I don't even know what that means. What's there to be a coward about?
I don't know. Does he want to sell you Jesus or something?
I think he might. There is no such thing as God. There are a lot of people called Jesus.
Yeah, and most of them pronounce it Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it was Yeshua or something, and the Greek transliteration of it was Jesus, as you say, Jesus.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, do another stream micro. Yeah, I should actually. I like micro. Thing is, the problem is I've got too little time and so many people who's like, will you do a stream with us? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to get drunk on it. Because apparently that's what I'm doing on streams these days. I bought this bottle of Tax Man and I thought, fuck it, why not?
That micro is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, micro is awesome, man. Yeah. I can't believe he doesn't have more fucking followers. Get Trump on live stream. I have emailed Donald Trump.
That was the guy's name up there, C. Frank, right? That was the one I was talking about earlier.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I've emailed Donald Trump's campaign, to ask them to come on my podcast, and so now I get email updates from Donald Trump. Like, I'll read a couple out. Hang on. I don't. He hasn't agreed to come on my podcast, unfortunately.
Damn it.
Yeah. Oh man, I would fucking definitely have him on. I would just be like, he's just like the Trump train, like debate wrap up. Thanks to our veterans. Veterans administration reforms that will make America great again. Fucking go, Trump. Fucking go. Tens of thousands support Trump. He's got a Trump army. This is gonna be amazing.
Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to figure out why I would be a coward about God. You need someone who knows him first, Sargon, to sound you out. I would be happy to. Do you know what's interesting about the Bible is that none of it is Jewish. It all comes from Sumer.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of rip-offs, aren't they?
Take it easy, positive improvement. Well, they are actually literally like direct rip-offs and stuff. I'm going to do a video about it at some point. Just like look at all the narratives from the Bible. They all come from Sumer. It's just, someone please accept Hitler as God. What do you mean, please? Flat Earthers, yeah.
Flat Earthers. That's hilarious. Actual people believing that.
I would geek out if Trump came on a stream with me. It'd be amazing.
Who wouldn't?
Sargon, did you get skeptic about pointing out that you are the reason feminism exists? What? No, I didn't even know you'd done that. That's it. I'm not gonna let this rest though. I'm still one up on him at the moment. He thought he did an under the helmet video where he managed to get me, and I was like, oh no, he got me. I got him back the other day, so he's one down at the moment. Your move, skeptic. If he called me the reason for feminism, I've got someone send it to me so I can fucking get him again. Seriously, I love the guy, man. He's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, he's cool. Can't stand Fletch.
To give him a bum. I do streams with small channels. What? I had fucking what's his name?
I'm a small channel, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, Lou. Well, you're not that small, but Lou Levi, insensitive bastard. I've had them on, and I don't really care about numbers. I care about like talking to interesting people.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I'm actually planning to get Spinosaurus Kin on, just because he always I see him and he's like, oh, I really like you sound. Like, okay, my God, we'll do a stream. Because the thing is, right, if you watch his videos, they're actually really good.
Yeah, he's funny. He's funny.
Oh, he really is. He's very good, and I should give him some promotion because he's fighting the good fight, and he is good at what he's doing.
Yeah, you totally should. That'd be awesome. And he's
You hear that, Spinosaurus Kin? Accepting your friend request on Skype.
I keep seeing his avatar, but it's not Spino.
Yeah, but now he is good. Even if he's an MRA, goddammit.
Yeah, well, we already talked about that. They're not They're not bad people.
They're not. That's generally, if they were, I genuinely would be like, no, I don't want to. So I'm not like, I don't want to have anything to do with the PUAs. You know, I find it's gross. You know, it's like, no, it's sad and it's weird, and it just focus on becoming an impressive man rather than like an impressive pickup artist, and women will come to you without you having to do anything. You know, it's so gynocentric. It's like focused on women. It's just like, oh, everything. You know, no, they're not. They're not that fucking important. And if you understand what is important, they will find you. You know, you don't have to do anything. You can be awesome at something, and you can have women instead of focusing your whole life around desperately getting women.
Yeah, exactly. Just try to be a good person and good at what you do.
And you will not have a problem. And you know, it's just sad. I don't like it.
Right. Except for when you're being an asshole on the internet. But apart from that, be a good person.
Yeah. Look, being an asshole on the internet doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you're an asshole on the internet sometimes. Some people fucking started it, you know what I mean?
Sorry?
Some people fucking started it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Would I settle a debate via interpretive dance? Oh, yeah. I've never danced either. I'm terrible at that shit.
Yeah.
If I could choose a feminist and only one feminist for a Q&A, and they had to turn up, who would you choose? Oh, well, it's got to be Sarkeesian, hasn't it, really? I would...
yeah.
If I was guaranteed, like, half an hour talk with Sarkeesian broadcast, I think I probably wouldn't be able to get my erection to go down. I would be so fucking happy about that. Because I would just crowdsource the questions. I'd be like, look, guys, I've got half an hour. Just tweet or email or whatever, and then I'll put like the top 50 questions in, and we'll whittle it down to whatever we've got time for, in order. We're going to do this fucking right, and we're going to fucking demolish her position entirely, just through questions. Because we could. We absolutely could do this. And
yeah,
it would be amazing. And it's at this point, it is kind of a fancy. I would love to just be able to ask her questions in public.
Yeah, and she pretty much is the most interesting person in that group to talk to.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
What is Hillary's platform? I don't know. I guess she's trying to make...
having a vagina.
Yeah, having a vagina and making the United States into Sweden.
That guy T wants to know what video inspired you to start YouTube.
Well, I've already said that it was actually Sargon, you, who did that. And it might sound really strange because it was one of your absolute first videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was.
Which one?
It was about what was it now? That you become a slave to the corporations or something.
Oh, Better Than Slavery. Jesus, that was one of my early ones.
Yeah.
I was really pleased with that one as well.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very interesting. Even though I'm not as left-wing as you are, I thought it was just so...
Well, it's economics, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, it was so interesting to hear that point of view. And
I actually found the stats for the price of owning a black slave in the Deep South during slavery. It's a very similar price, in fact. It works out to a very similar modern price.
Right.
It's around, I think in dollars it was something like 45,000 or 50,000 for each slave, which isn't that far off the 25,000 I had for the Roman slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Pounds I had. So it's actually really sort of similar price. So I'm guessing that's, you know, a consequence of a market, you know, that it kind of arrives at around that price. And sweatshop work is so much more cost efficient. It's incredible. Everything about sweatshop work is better than slavery. It's better to do that than own slaves. It's incredible. It's an amazing system. But you could only have it if you have the situation where we have a bunch of very rich, powerful countries puppeteering a bunch of weak, impoverished ones. You can only have that. You know, you couldn't have that in the world the TPP is trying to create, incidentally. Which is, again, and this is another one of the good things about it. It's actually, I think it's probably going to end up restricting or eliminating the worst extremes of sweatshop labor. I think there still will be sweatshops, but I think the worst of it will be eradicated. Right? And so, I mean, that is a good thing. Of course, there are so many other things about it I don't agree with, but you know.
Yeah, but that's a good thing.
Mm.
I just never thought about it that it would actually be cheaper for the corporations to have labor than to have actual slaves. That was so interesting.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Idle Dilettante is going to quote mine the shit out of this. Yeah, then she's going to be like, yeah, can I come over? Netflix and feminism? I'm like, no. I'd rather be a whore than a sweatshop worker. To be honest, I probably would too.
Yeah.
Why do I think Elizabeth Warren isn't running for president? I have no idea. Are feminists happy or angry that the Woman of the Year has a penis? Well, depends what feminist you talk to. Anita Sarkeesian's structural feminists, they're thrilled. Jermaine Greer's TERFs, they're not thrilled.
Well, it's better than last year, right? It was Miss Piggy.
I forgot about that. That's amazing. We should do a list of who these Women of the Year are, just back for as long as they're going. What magazine was it?
I don't know. I don't remember, but I remember it was Miss Piggy.
And I'm gonna Glamour magazine.
Sorry?
Glamour magazine.
Okay.
Just looking up Glamour awards they are.
Yeah, they must have a list.
Women of the Year. So 2003. You've got a list of them actually. It's a bunch. And then like Britney Spears, Gloria Felt, Dr. Julie Gerberding, Suzanne Vega, Jessica Lange, Laura, a bunch of women. I don't know, Ellen DeGeneres, but a bunch of women I don't know who they are. And then 2004, they've split it up, and so it's Woman of the Year, Man of the Year, Entrepreneur, Newcomer, Actresses, Solo Artist, Bands, all this sort of stuff. So Woman of the Year in 2004 is Christina Aguilera. Woman of the Year in 2005 is Rachel Stevens. I don't know who that is. She's
terrible with names.
An English singer-songwriter, apparently. I don't. She's from S Club 7. Why? Okay. 2006, Man of the Year is Paul Bettany. Apparently, there was no Woman of the Year. What the fucking?
What?
No Woman of the Year in 2006. That's weird. What?
Blame the patriarchy.
Yeah, look at the patriarchy does it again. Hang on, I'm just going to check the source on that because there must be. The source is broken. Of course it is. This is why you can't source Wikipedia. Fucking Wikipedia, man. But yeah, no, there doesn't appear to be a thing. But editor specialist Charlotte Church, maybe that matters. So 2007, the Woman of the Year is Victoria Beckham. Then 2008, they don't have a Woman of the Year, but they have an editor special, which I think replaces it, and that's Lily Allen. 2009, Kylie Minogue. 2010, Cheryl Cole. 2011, Rosie Huntington Whitley is the editor special. 2012, Selena Gomez. 2013, Lady Gaga. 2014, Taylor Schilling. I don't know who the fuck that is. American actress for Piper Chapman in the Orange is the New Black. Okay.
Right.
Never heard of it. And only goes up to 2014. So.
Right. Okay, but it seems like they're going off the rail. Like, okay, they started out with some normal people, and now they have Miss Piggy and whatnot.
Well, apparently it wasn't Miss Piggy. I mean, that must have been someone else.
Yeah, but I guess that was another magazine then.
Yeah, it must have been. I must be on the wrong one. But yeah, anyway, Woman of the Year in some magazine got a penis. Good job. It's just, I don't even. Where do you go from there?
I don't know.
You've critical theoried yourselves out of relevancy, Will. You know, well done. Now everything's a social construct. Brilliant. Woman of the Year's got a dick. What are you going to do?
Yeah, that is priceless. Woman of the Year has a dick.
Oh, shit. Missouri protesters are now segregating their members by race.
What?
Tomorrow's video is going to be amazing. You're going to love it. It's just there's so much crazy shit coming out of universities where they're just doubling down on their bullshit, and it's just like you just keep going, you know. And after Bahama stuff, you go, no, I'm doubling down. I can't be racist. Fuck. I mean, everyone's pissed off that I'm being racist, but I can't be racist. Just keep going, you fucking idiots. You're gonna ruin yourselves.
That is unbelievable. Well, I guess you don't want to say too much about your video tomorrow, so.
No, I won't. Sorry.
But that sounds amazing.
Yeah, we can wrap this up whenever you want, man. If you need to go or something.
No, I don't have to go anywhere right now. It's do you need to go to bed or whatever?
No, I'm still drinking.
You gonna get plastered?
I already am. Even the feminist civil wars. Well, honestly, I think Anita's wing is more zealotish. They're more zealous for the cause. Although the fact that she's a swerf really does go against her. So, yeah, I mean, the intersectional sex worker and trans-friendly wing, that's the one that's going to win. The totally inclusive, 100% diverse. Yeah, I'm drinking Heritage Institute Miss Haxa. My stance is on pacifism. Well, I would be surprised if any state could manage it. I mean, well, of course you do get states that manage it, but like, generally, I mean, the reason no one invades Switzerland because it's a fucking pain in the ass. You know, it's at the top of a fucking mountain range.
But are they really pacifists?
No, they're not. Well, they're neutral. They don't invade places.
Right.
But they
still have a military, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, every man has a rifle.
Right.
Issued to them by the state. It's like a fucking libertarian's dream.
Wow. Issued by the state.
Yeah. No, seriously, there's a lot of gun deaths in Switzerland as well, per capita.
Yeah, there would have to be.
Some guys like, you cower like a child sucking your own dicks. Man, it's not even something I can do. Did I get the info I need on the TPP? I'm getting it.
So whatever happened to Sarkeesian's report? Did they bring out the new one or what?
Oh, what, the UN one? No, I think they're just forgetting about it because it was such a fucking clusterfuck.
They just quietly buried it.
Yeah, basically. Would I give up my YouTube channel to go raise pigs on a farm? No. I think my wife would. She would love to do that. I am not doing that.
Well, you could have your channel from a pig farm.
I don't know why Logan Crash is calling everyone in the chat a coward. What are they cowering from, my friend? You suck. UN mandate down the toilet. Yeah, that's all you need to do to defeat the feminists. Tell them they suck. The good life of Sargon. That's exactly what it'd be. Man, Felicity Kendall, she was hot back in the day.
Oh dear.
The end result of this massive immigration. Well, it's not going to be good, is it?
Yeah, that's an interesting question for you people from UK. What's going on with that?
Well, the UK is in a different situation to mainland Europe at the moment. We've only taken about, I think, 7,000 refugees, which is nothing really.
Okay.
Germany's expecting 1.5 million.
Jesus.
Yeah. Seriously, we've taken nothing. Sweden is, oh man, I've got about 20 sources listed out for a video on this at some point. But Sweden, the government ministers, Margaret Wallström, the fucking feminist foreign minister with the feminist fucking foreign policy, is like, Sweden's on the verge of collapse. They're fucked. They're fucking fucked. It's so stupid that there's this movie going around about Open the Gates and how it's just Europe committing suicide, and it is, man. I'm not even like anti-immigration. I'm not like, anti thing, and I certainly don't care about the race of the people immigrating. I'm not a fan of Islam, but that's an ideology and a religion that can be changed. That's fine. It can be changed. I'm not too worried about it, although it comes with its own set of problems. I don't care where they're coming from. It's the numbers. It's just crazy, crazy numbers, and just the answer should be no.
You're right.
And a lot of them are economic migrants as well. I've seen a lot of videos where they're saying, I want to go to Germany because you get more money there. It's like, what's wrong with where you are? Oh, you don't get enough money. You get more money in Germany. I can send it back to Syria. It's like, are you fucking serious? I mean, this guy is literally admitting he's coming here to leech off the German welfare state. And then you've got like Angela Merkel going, oh no, we definitely have to take them all. And the Germans are like, why? The fuck did we ever do to ISIS in the Middle East? We're not allied with these people.
Right.
But you've got like German villages with like 50 people in, having to take like 300 immigrants. Are you serious? Right. Can you even? I would be fucking furious. No, fucking no. This is the death of Europe in a lot of ways. And I know I'm going to get social justice warriors going, oh my god, you said you hate immigrants, you're racist. No, seriously, these could be coming from fucking Poland. It could be coming from fucking France. They could be coming from Scotland. It's the raw numbers of the thing that are the problem. And check out The Angry Foreigner, N. Arg Blatt Talar. He's a really funny Swedish guy. Or Swedish. He's an immigrant to Sweden, but he lives in Sweden, and he's fucking funny. And he's just like, man, this is it's a crazy country, and he's really good. I've got a conversation with him, and he's basically Sweden is basically Tumblr as a country. And he's right, and he's genuinely right. And now they're literally getting to the point where they're fucked, and it's just like, you can. Another one of Ayn Rand's sayings: you can avoid reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of avoiding reality, or something like that. And that's so true, man. That's fucking true. They're getting to the point where Sweden is the second highest country for rape in all of the world. It's the highest in Europe, and it's just like, you're a liberal Western democracy. Or you were supposed to be a liberal Western democracy. How have you got the second most rapes in the world, most in Europe? You've got to sit back and go, what? Maybe all of these immigrants from Somalia or wherever who don't have the same standards of respect for women, maybe letting them into the country and then taking a hands-off approach as to their attitudes towards the local ladies has not been the best idea. I don't want to be a racist. I don't want to say that this is the case, but this is the case. They very much have less respect for women than the Swedish men do.
Right.
There's no getting around it. And it's probably due to fucking Islam.
It's unbelievable that Sweden would have the highest rape statistics. Wow.
It's incredible. It's second highest in the world, I think. Second or third, but you're definitely the highest in Europe, and it's really high, and it's terrifying. And I've seen like articles where, and these are Swedish articles people have sent me that I've translated, where it says something along the lines of, Somali guy or group of guys gang rape a woman, young fucking 14, 15-year-old girl, and the judge is like, well, he didn't know any better, his culture is different, blah blah blah, and lets him go. And you think, man, that's no excuse. Ignorance is no fucking excuse.
No, of course not.
I'm sorry, no. It's fucking awful. And I feel bad for any Muslims who are like, yeah, but I'm a good, honourable Muslim, and these fucks are making me look bad, because there are honourable Muslims. There is, without a doubt, a distinct thread of honour going through Islam, and it does exist, and it could be encouraged, but it's so much easier to like preach hate. It's so much easier to be base about it, because taking the example of like fucking Saladin and all those sort of fucking all the sort of Muslim caliphs who actually had and sultans who actually had something respectable about them is a lot more difficult than saying death to the West and then let's go blow ourselves up and Osama bin Laden apparently. And so I legitimately feel for the Muslims who are just like, man, there's a lot of Islam I like, and at the time everyone's like, oh, Islam's so backwards on women. It's like, yeah, but you got to think about where it came from. You know, I mean,
Right.
where 7th century Arabia was worse than Islam is to women. You know, Islam was a step up for the rights of women. It was a step up for the rights of a lot of people, apart from pagans. And so, you know, this is why, like, what is it? The fucking, I can't remember what building it is in America, but you've got a statue of Muhammad in there.
Mm-hmm.
As a great reformer, alongside Jesus, alongside Moses. And yeah, he was bringing an improvement to the area. You know, there's no doubt.
Well, they need to have their own renaissance, I guess.
They do. They absolutely do. They're missing a pope as well. You know, they need a caliph. So
right.
You know, this is something that Islam should have. You know, the leader of the faith is the caliph, like the pope. He was just also not only a spiritual but a temporal leader as well.
Yeah,
He was the person who fucking set the, you know, this is religious orthodoxy, anything else is heresy, and that doesn't exist now. So no one's fucking telling all the rest of the Muslims what is religious orthodoxy, because it would be someone to bargain with. You know, it'd be someone who could have some skin in the game. You know.
Yeah.
And I know that's what ISIS is fighting for as well. I know that is. You know, I mean, I don't want ISIS to be the ones who do it. I would rather see, like, a sensible country do it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I know that's what ISIS is fighting for. And when ISIS first came into existence, before I knew anything about them, you know, people like, oh, this guy is declaring himself caliph and trying to fight for a thing. I was like, well, that's great, because that's what Islam desperately needs, the caliph. They need to, unite into their various factions, have a Sunni caliphate, and then we can deal with them. Then that would be the most powerful Muslim bloc, and we can deal with it. But then it turned out that ISIS were fucking psycho, and obviously no one's on the side of that, and I'm not on the side of that.
No, who is?
Yeah, exactly, nobody. But because you can't be, you know, it's a terrible thing they're doing, especially blowing up historical monuments and stuff. You know, I can't imagine anyone who's a genuine caliph of Islam thinking, you know, what I should do is blow up my history. You know, it's just crazy. So yeah, Islam needs a caliph, but they're not going to get one anytime soon, I don't think.
No, probably not. And I'm not really well versed in their systems, so I'm kind of lost in this discussion.
Sorry, I'm reasonably well versed from reading about Islam in history.
Right.
I do have a copy of the Quran I haven't gone through. I've gone through like the Wikipedia page and been like, okay, that's interesting, but I've never read the whole thing. I do plan to, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just never really interested me that much, but I guess you have to study it a little bit.
Someone's like, ISIS already has a caliph. If they decide to follow him, then he would be legit. That's true. If they all decided to follow him, then he would be legit. He would be the Muslim caliph. They'd all agree to it. He would be the legitimate ruler of Islam, spiritual leader of Islam, and I think it's like and I think we're all taking umbrage to ISIS, and I don't want to defend ISIS because they're reprehensible. But almost all states are made in the way ISIS are making theirs. Almost all new states come into being in the same way. You know, it's not anything different to anyone. I mean, Turkey wasn't taken over peacefully. You know, it used to all be Greek, and then you know, now it's not Greek, and it wasn't taken over peacefully. A lot of people died, and a lot of people were oppressed to get to that point. And the same with almost anyone ever creating a nation. You know, you create a nation, you create a state, a lot of people die. I mean,
it takes a war basically every time.
Yeah, it takes probably a series of wars, in fact. You know, where you continually gain ground, and eventually, you know, you gain ground, consolidate, wipe out anything that's opposing you, and then you move on. You know, you keep going. You bring settlers. You convert.
Right.
It's always a horrible bloody process. So what we're seeing with ISIS is not historically out of the ordinary. In fact, it's totally normal. And I know that sounds fucking cold, but well, that's why Machiavelli wrote The Prince.
Yep.
But again, I don't agree with anything ISIS are doing because it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I don't think anyone does. I mean, that's except for themselves. That's pretty much a given.
Mm.
All right. Well, I'm starting to feel kind of like tired here, so you
Yeah, no
think we
worries, man.
should?
Yeah, we can call it a night. It's 12:30 now, so I'm good to stop.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that I'm just coming across as half asleep right now. So.
That's all right, man. I'm really drunk and I've chatted my ass. And I'm going to get so many people going, man, you said in the stream the other day you were undoomed, this, that, and the other, and you're wrong, and this is why you're wrong. But oh wow, that's a good point. No, I was wrong. I was really drunk and just talking shit. But I don't think I'm that wrong on anything. I think I've been quite accurate in what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will
But yeah,
find
I'll get the pedants.
quote mine something, and you'll have
Oh,
some.
without doubt. But thanks very much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you very, very much for being here.
Oh man, honestly, I've had loads of fun, and it's nice to get on a stream with someone like-minded and just be able to shoot the shit. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I appreciate the people watching as well. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was awesome. So I'm just gonna stop it right now and say thanks to everyone, and see you next time.